with Jeff Iafrate, Booner, Lukas Klotz, and Michael Gentry. Another episode of Crunch Time. It's Thursday, February 1st, and I'm fired up, boys. I am fired up. We have breaking news to go over.
Oh, great breaking news, too. There's a lot of
Aaron Glenn, back with the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions get to keep both their coordinators. Now next season will be 4 years. 4 years with the same coordinators, guys. We'll break that down in a little bit here. But how we feeling tonight?
Feel great.
I'm ready, boys.
I'm pumped up. I'm energized. I'm ready to go.
I was a little under the weather to start the morning, but, the boys got me fired up and ready to go.
Let's go.
You sick over there, Gentry?
I was, man. This Michigan weather got me fucked up.
You have to clean this up. You have to shave all this. Keep the stash.
Keep the stash. He's got the Pablo Escobar stash going. You could pull a character off Narcos right now.
Put me in.
Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. I will say this. If you're tuning in live, number one, we appreciate you. Number two, subscribe if you haven't already. Yes. Like the stream. It helps us out. It helps push out the stream out in the algorithm. So that is much
best
needed.
4 guys in Detroit right here.
No question. The other thing is,
and Toledo.
The other thing is, if you're listening, because we are on most podcast platforms, just look up Crunch Time with Jeff Iafrate and Booner. Leave a 5-star review, because we do look at those, and again, we do appreciate you. Diggity Dog just became a Crunch member. We thank you for that. And again, guys, we got people joining the stream, for at least the people that were in first. Vincent Ellison, almost that time. Crunch Time, let's go. We appreciate you, Vincent. Here's Johnny, Steve Lehman, Big John.
Hey, there
he is. 77. Let's go.
313 in the chat as well. We got our guy Ryan Lentz, the GOAT. We got Adam, ETN,
the one
Tommy K, and of course the man that he's good.
King
is a legend. He is a
We got
GOAT.
Chef. We got Chef here as well,
Chef.
man.
Shout out.
And guys, we got a lot to talk about today. We do. I'm not only just with Aaron Glenn, but also the Lions hired another staff member.
Yeah.
And this specific staff member, he's damn good. We'll be breaking that down. 8:45. Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes. They got an award, not an official NFL award, but still an award that, again, is super impressive. Anytime a Lions executive and a Lions head coach wins an award in the same year, you got to talk about it.
Hey, Brad Holmes is stacking them up too, by the way.
Yeah,
I know we're talking about it. He's stacking them up, though.
Mm-hmm, he really is. In the second hour, we'll go around the NFL. We'll go through some of the new coaches that were just hired, right? Mike McDonald, Dan Quinn getting the Commanders job. Of course, Mike McDonald getting the Seahawks job. Tanner Engstrand taking more interviews. Pinpoint Boar became a Crunch member. We appreciate you for that.
Wait. Did Tanner take another interview today?
He did.
Yeah.
Where at?
Sadly.
We'll break into it. We'll go into it, Boo.
We'll get into it, Booner. I'm not going to say I'm panicking, but I'm also not going to say I'm not panicking.
I wouldn't be so mad. We'll break it down, though. We'll break it down.
Because I got some thoughts on that. But to start us off, guys, Aaron Glenn is returning this year because, again, Dan Quinn got the job with Washington, the Commanders job. And that was the last head coaching opening. And the fact that the Detroit Lions get to keep both of their coordinators, like let alone one, but both for now going into 4 years, that's impressive because good organizations, that just does not happen. It doesn't. Typically guys are getting plucked every single year. And the fact that you get to keep both of them, especially Ben Johnson, is super impressive. You look at the players on both sides of the ball that are going to benefit from this, guys. Even if you haven't been here for the 4 years, even if you're here for a year or 2 years, 3 years, you're still now 2, 3, 4 years in the same system. That's got to matter, guys. It has to matter.
Yeah, I think too. And the word that I wrote down with that is consistency. Like you're trying to build like a culture, and they've done that. Like Dan's done that, but he's also done that with Brad Holmes, with Ben Johnson, with Aaron Glenn, with Dave Phipp. Like he's built that culture, and like they have there's like this trust circle within that organization with all the players, and it starts with the coordinators and the head coach. The fact that you're getting a guy like Aaron Glenn back and Ben Johnson back, mind you, 2 guys who weren't just head coaching candidates. Like they didn't just get like one interview. They got multiple interviews all off season. They were finalists of some of these jobs. Like, and like Ben Johnson pulled out. Aaron Glenn was a finalist for multiple. So these are guys that where it's like, these are some of the best in the NFL, what they do. And I just think the biggest part is like when you're building something, like you see like the Eagles last year, they went to a Super Bowl. They got far. They didn't win a Super Bowl, but they kind of made a little run like the Lions. Their coordinators dipped right away. They had a chance to do it. They dipped. They got a job. They left. Detroit, they went out and got that. Like they went out and got one. So I'm with that on that. I think it's keeping that culture there that's the key right now is keeping these guys being consistent.
And like Booner said, these two guys have drawn interest from around the league for 2 years now. And I'm really just interested to see and I'm happy that AG gets another chance for Brad Holmes to attack free agency and kind of load up this defense to see what he can really do. Obviously, they did it this past season. They kind of addressed the secondary a little bit, but it's really time for Brad Holmes to get some dogs in there and see what AG can really do with a loaded defense. So I'm really happy AG gets another shot at it because, I mean, I really like what he's done, but he needs some weapons on that defense and some consistency, really.
Yeah, not only the players that are going to be brought in, but the players that are already coming back. You want to talk about being able to get right back to work and not have to worry about any dysfunction coming off at the beginning of the season, no hangover, no turmoil from that loss boiling into the season. When you have, at this point, you can almost look at it like the Lions have 3 head coaches on the sideline at this point because those guys could be head coaches at the job that they got interviewed at. So to have those players come back in the same system, only going to get better, and then to Gentry's point, have actual extra dogs around him. I don't expect Brad Holmes to go get dudes. I expect him to go get some dogs, especially on the so you have that. It's a formula for success.
Do you know, too, what I was thinking today was that, like, through the year, and I was kind of on the side as well, to where I was kind of questioning the AG stuff at one point. I was getting the arguments with Easy and everyone who was on the AG side. And I think there was, like, that personnel to scheme kind of scenario. What's going on here, fellas?
Nothing.
Hey, but the chat's making us laugh. This chat's a core part of this.
Keep going, Boone.
We're listening.
I'm trying to stay locked in. With people,
I know. Hey,
I'm ADHD. When people laugh, I can't stay locked in.
We're not laughing at you.
I know,
but
we're listening.
I'm trying to talk to you, boy.
That's why we're not laughing out loud. We're listening, but sometimes it's just like
I'm going to private chat for a little bit so I could talk and not get distracted. No, I'm just saying there's the side where it was scheme and it was personnel, and I was on the point to where I thought it was the scheme for a little bit. I think it was in the middle to where it was both. It was that he didn't have the personnel and the players to go out there and do what he wanted to do, but then at the same time, he needed to switch the scheme to find a way. And you saw him halfway through the year. He switched the scheme up. He started bringing the pressure, blitzing, doing different things. It started to work, but he just never had the personnel to really go out there and do what he wanted to do. I think this offseason, it's Brad Holmes, go out there. You addressed the offense last year. You did that. Offense is fine. Now go address the defense. Now if Aaron Glenn gets the personnel and his scheme and who he is, he had head coaching he was a candidate for a reason. Now it's going to change a lot next year. I think you have to have a top 15 defense. You have to. He's coming back. Brad Holmes addresses it. You have to.
And real quickly, just kind of make a point off that. I don't even think we've gotten to a point where we've been able to see an Aaron Glenn scheme. I mean, this man was a cornerback. His strength is knowing how to play in the secondary, not having a lockdown guy outside of that. You have to overcompensate on a defensive line where there's not much to go from outside of Aiden Hutchinson and Lee McNeil, who was hurt during the season. Linebacking core, you could say the same thing. Alex Anzalone. He's a very solid linebacker that's been playing above his ceiling, but I don't think Aaron Glenn's been able to get into his bag yet, so I don't think we can even judge his scheme. Not saying it's all on personnel, though, either. I went in the private chat, too. It was getting me to laugh too much.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to do this for 2 hours again today? Just have a whole show. Are we going to do a sports show today?
We cannot laugh around Booner. We can't laugh.
You guys can laugh, but like, we're going to do this for 2 hours?
Hey, real quick, new members. We got Big Play Jay just became a Crunch member. We appreciate you. And of course, the man.
Shout out.
Listen, I want it very well known. I want it known. I want the people to laugh, but I want every single person in this chat to put jokes in there. I don't care about that. The 3 guys that I'm looking at in this room right now, if you guys can't handle these jokes and do a show at the same time, I'm going to have to run this show solo. And we're going to have to put you guys in the outro room. And I'll go on a solo screen and I'll talk for 2 straight hours.
So
I need you guys to lock in for the people.
All right, let me chime in on.
I got that out of there.
I think, guys, to speak on Aaron Glenn, the other really important part of this whole thing.
Sorry, Steven.
Tits
are calm.
Aaron Glenn was recognized as a coach or a coordinator that his players loved to play for last season. love to play for. Ben Johnson, another
I'm
guy
sorry.
that got that.
I'm
players
laughing at
love
the
to play
chat. Everyone's called me a Karen right now. It is.
This man just went on a rant and then just
I
interrupted me.
swear to God.
It's this. I had this
Now it's
energy.
okay to laugh.
I had this energy drink today, and now it's like that's why I started yelling. I'm just mixed emotions going on. All right, I'm sorry, everyone. You guys can laugh. I apologize. I needed to get that out.
Okay, so like I was saying,
Go
Aaron
ahead,
Glenn
yeah.
last season, a coach that again players love to play for. Ben Johnson, a coach that players love to play for, and I think this is significant because despite whatever you think about Aaron Glenn, what you can say, the second half was a complete meltdown, but he had those guys ready to play in the first half in that NFC Championship game. Dan Campbell did, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn did. And I think this is significant because consistency is hard to come by when you're a good organization. Like it just is. And when you're winning games, it is. Look at Philly last year. Philly lost both their coordinators and took a nosedive. Now, I don't think the same thing would happen with the Lions because I have confidence in Dan and his ability to hire staff. But it is a bonus you get to keep both because it does not happen often, especially among teams that win a lot of games.
Yeah, and Jeff, it almost brings up, it was a couple streams ago. Remember when you pulled up Justin Spiro's tweet where he brought up all the teams that kind of went one and done? Either a lot of those teams lost their quarterback just because of the kind of the last go around at it, especially with Brett Favre and those Vikings teams, or they lost a great offensive coordinator, a great defensive coordinator, and that translated the next season. So the fact that they're keeping it all together, I really do not see a way outside of injury the Lions are not back right where they were this year. And if not, in my opinion, they will be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I think the point I made, guys, about players being in the same system for a long period of time, that matters, especially defensively. So even the young guys that are even rookies, like a Brian Branch now that came in this season, young players, they're now going to be in the same system for another year. And for Aiden Hutchinson and these other guys, being in the same system for multiple years, understanding what their job is. And I think that is significant. I do. In other news, though, speaking of staff members, because we did talk about the Aaron Glenn stuff, but that also ties also to the Detroit Lions hiring Terrell Williams, who was the run game coordinator and D-line coach in Tennessee, and he's a very, very respected assistant. Mike Vrabel loved him, absolutely loved this man. And he has ties with Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson. 2015, he spent time with Dan and Ben in Miami. He was on that staff as well. And fun fact, he was actually Brad Holmes' position coach at North Carolina A&T. So there's a lot of ties here. He's a respected coach, and he's also a very, very good defensive line coach. He's been coaching defensive linemen for a majority of his career, and he's developed a lot of Pro Bowlers. I mean, go over to Tennessee and look at their defense. On paper, it was never off the charts, right? But they always have a good defense. And Mike Vrabel, obviously the head coach, but that's a great hire.
Yeah, I'm going to say this too, like off the bat, the fact that he was with Mike Vrabel for 6 seasons, and on top of that, this year, Mike Vrabel made him the assistant head coach, and he was the D-line. Like, that respect level right there shows already that's a step up. And with that too, Jeff, I texted you this earlier today. I mentioned earlier this year when things were kind of on a struggle, the defensive line was struggling. You've seen in the past Dan Campbell go out there and move on from positional coaches to kind of set a tone or move on and kind of make a change. I think that's kind of what happened here with the John Scott Jr. I know they haven't announced what's going on with John Scott Jr. or if he's going to stay or what it is. I just think like if you had to break down a positional like group that needed an upgrade and needed to do better and who degressed like a ton, it was the defensive line. And you went out and got probably one of the best defensive line coaches in the NFL that coached with one of the best defensive coaches in Mike Vrabel. So I think that's a home run for the Lions, Brad Holmes and Dan and them to go out there and get that. I think like one of the biggest moves. I mean, so far this offseason, what did you do? You got AG back, you got Ben Johnson back, and you brought him in as a D-line coach. Like you're already making moves, making plays 4 days into the offseason.
I want to ask you, Lucas, real quick. I want to just, can you clarify, because you did a good job of this on Twitter. Can you clarify what that means to be a defensive line coach and be a run game coordinator? Because I think when people saw that, they're like, what? Can you break that down for everybody?
I mean, this is actually like a pretty common thing, and it makes sense. Like so if you're a defensive line coach and then you also are good at stopping the run game, those two things coincide because every week you're going up against a team's rushing attack. You have to figure out that the way offense works running the ball. So if you're an offense or defensive coach, it's almost like trying to stop yourself at that point. So that's why he goes both ways with it. Pause. But I think this is a great hire because this is making your strength even stronger, because we just talked about John Scott Jr. It's not like he was a terrible coach, but now you're bringing a guy that's going to upgrade it. And the Lions already had a very good run stuff game. So now you can do that. And you can also help Aleem get into the pass rushing game as well. Hopefully they address that defensive line. I think we all expect that to happen. But again, this is just making his strength even stronger.
And I think this is a coach. Obviously, they talked about it so much, bringing the right players in that have the same mentality and mindset. I think it goes the same way with the coaches. Obviously, Mike Vrabel is kind of like that Dan Campbell style coaches. He gets the players fired up and all. So he's going to be real familiar and he's going to fit right in. And obviously, the defensive line was one of our biggest question marks going into this year. And there's still a lot of question marks with it. How are we going to get Hutch some help? So I really do like the hire, and I think he's the perfect guy and kind of will come in with the same mindset that this locker room already has. So
hey, if you're bringing in young guys too, like through the draft or even some new free agents, having him in there is like he's going to develop some of these young guys. Like especially if you draft a guy in the first round, that's going to be so helpful. It's going to be extremely helpful. I think that hire is. I just think it's a home run. Yeah. I think that was one of the best moves they've made.
Yeah, you want to bring, especially if you're hiring a defensive line coach, you want a guy that's, number one, has a ton of experience working with different players, right? Developing talent. And you have some guys here that are on a pretty good trajectory, right? Aiden Hutchinson, Aleem McNeil. Like, I think that especially for this hire with Terrell Williams, it's a splash. And you look at the offseason so far for the Lions, it hasn't even really, it started, but the bread and butter of it, the meat and potatoes, whatever the hell you want to call it, has not really begun, right? The draft, free agency.
You haven't been able to touch the roster yet.
No. And they look at you got Ben Johnson returning, Aaron Glenn back for next year. It's a splash hire, bringing in somebody that I think John, and you mentioned this Booner a while ago with John Scott Jr. and him getting the job, and how it's just, they needed a change there. Although,
yeah.
I mean, they weren't getting.
I thought it was going to happen halfway through the season. To be honest, I thought that, like, if I was thinking earlier this year, I was like, okay, we went on that bad stretch in the NFC North, and I was like, Dan Campbell, like what he's done the last 2 or 3 years is he does fire guys. Like he tries to make changes to make him keep moving forward. And I looked at the roster, and when I was on the other show, the one guy I called out was the defensive line coach, John Scott Jr. And I was like, this might be the worst position group that we've had that's gone from here to here. And I was like, I would not have been surprised if John Scott Jr. got let go halfway through the year, just because you need to make like a statement. And I think it kind of showed now that, hey, they're making a change there. Maybe he'll still be around and he'll be working under him. But I think John Scott Jr., that there needed to be a change. There was no progression, and especially with these young guys like a Levi Onwuzurike, like the Quora brothers. There's just no progression whatsoever. There's none.
No.
There's been nothing.
No, and it's perfect timing too, because you're going into a draft where we all agree, and we've spoke about this yesterday, and we've done it a lot here on Crunch Time, where you have to take a defensive lineman in the first round, and how perfectly fitting you go out and get one of the best defensive line coaches in the NFL. Like, and he's going to be a rookie. So I do think it's perfectly fitting. And this speaks to, again, like I mentioned this yesterday, you're going to have to get comfortable with losing coaches. I said that, but the other part of that is Dan Campbell, besides the Anthony Lynn hire, like in Aubrey Pleasant, okay, and that's fair.
Yeah.
He has nailed his coaching staff. Absolutely nailed. And that's honestly a part of coaching that people don't spend a lot of time talking about. Like, there are good coaches, but there are guys that can't, like Nick Sirianni in Philly, can't get his assistants right. And now they go out, they fire the entire staff, and they bring in new guys. Like, the fact that Dan is a coach that, again, can identify good coaches, to me, guys, that's an underrated part of being a good head coach. Like, yeah, what happens on the field? Absolutely. But things like this, they matter. Because they matter till they don't matter till they actually matter, right? Like Philly, it doesn't matter, and then this season they significantly regress, and now it matters.
Not even just bringing in coaches, like he's been he's had a good feel to when, hey, you need to move on from someone. Like that's as well. Like he's done a very good job just being a leader when it comes down to stuff like that. A lot of coaches will die on the hill. If they bring a guy in or they have a guy, they'll die on that hill, and they'll lose their job so they don't have to sit there and fire. Like he fired one of his closest friends that he's in football and moved on from. So shout out Dan, man.
That's part of
leader of men.
That's part of being a good coach, a good CEO, whatever you want to call Dan of this football team. It's identifying that I can't do this alone. I need good coaches, and not just saying that, but actually going out and getting them. Like Dan could easily be stubborn. Dan could easily be stubborn and hold on and be like, no, this is going to work. And he doesn't. And that to me is the lack of ego. Like, Dan doesn't have ego. He's not going to sit there and say, no, guys, trust me, Aubrey Pleasant, he is working. Trust me, guys. He'll fix that. That's why when he comes out and backs Aaron Glenn, I listen. Like, I don't sit there and say, nah, Dan's lying. Like, you listen because he knows what he's talking about. And it's worked out pretty well, guys.
There hasn't been a Matt Canada where you just know that he doesn't got it and they just trot him back out there. There hasn't been that.
Yes.
And Dan's not afraid to be wrong either. He'll take accountability for any decision he makes. So you got to have some confidence in that when he's expanding the coaching staff and trying new things, getting rid of guys, like you said. So he takes full accountability in his decisions. So
yes,
like even after the NFC Championship game, him to come out and just say I gambled and I was wrong. Like it's like everything across the board with him. And Jeff, I'm with you. Like I trust, like if he goes out and say, hey, AG is that guy, I trust him. And that's what I kind of turned as well with AG from. It is the personnel because he just needs the guys to do it. So that's where I'm kind of, I've done a whole 360 or 180, whatever it is on it.
Yeah. I mean, to bring up the point Lucas just made, like Mike Tomlin, one of the greatest NFL coaches in the league, one of the greatest coaches you could argue of the past decade. And he even holds on to a guy like a Matt Canada. He can't get his offensive coordinator right. And he just hired Arthur Smith. And I think it's a pretty good hire. But even with a guy like that, a respected coach, he can't even get it right. Like, it's hard to do, guys. Like, it just is. Unless you're a Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, where you're the play caller anyway. So, like, who cares who comes and goes? But for guys like Dan, where he's giving play calling duties to Ben and giving play calling duties on defense, of course, to Aaron Glenn. Yeah. I mean, what more can you ask for? Guy's a stud.
I thought my internet dropped.
No, you're good, Klotz.
Let's go.
You are good. Hold on. We got Chris Platt. He's asking for a wrench here.
He's one of the 10. Remember, he's one of the 10.
Yeah. The newly made up rule.
We need to figure out how many we have out there already. I think it's like 7.
Yeah, we're
hey, but Jeff, real quick, and I don't want to go into a long conversation about this. Arthur Smith was not a good hire. That man should not be anywhere near an NFL sideline as far as a coordinator position. I could have told you to run Derrick Henry and throw slants to AJ Brown in the AFC South with Mike Vrabel as my head coach. You had Bijan Robinson and treating him like he was Mark Ingram or Jamal Williams or something like that. Like, the man's a stud. He single-handedly held that team back besides Desmond Ridder.
No, I agree.
And that's the thing, too, with Arthur Smith is based on recent results, you are correct. I would think as a coordinator where he doesn't have as much control, like he's going to basically paint the picture. He's going to paint the picture Mike Tomlin wants to paint. Like, he's just going to tell him and he's going to paint it. Maybe it could work. But if you give Arthur Smith like free reign as a head coach, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it's a disaster. And
I don't think it's that as bad as you think.
Maybe the point's proven even more. Maybe Arthur Smith's a disaster and we go right back to the same point where it's hard. It's hard to get these things right. It really is. Speaking of Dan being impressive and Brad Holmes, guys, and you know what? I'll take this. We could take this. And no, it's not official, but they get the recognition I think they do deserve. The sporting news.
Shout out.
The sporting news. It was among obviously Brad and Dan, their peers, and they all voted. So it is kind of significant. It was among peers that voted for this award. In the 2023 NFL Executive of the Year, according to the Sporting News, Brad Holmes. Oh, and look at that. Also, the NFL coach, the 2023 NFL Coach of the Year, according to Sporting News, is Dan Campbell. And this is voted among peers. So,
as it should be.
Yeah, as it should be. Guys that, again, are in the same position and do the same job as these two.
Hey, with that, then, I know we've had this argument about Dan Campbell winning Coach of the Year, like AP NFL Coach of the Year, and he is a finalist. Probably won't win it. And we've had this argument between us, I feel like, at one point. Dan should have won that. He deserves that award. Like, obviously, it's a regular season award, but what he's done And I just think the historics of everything with the Lions and all of that, I think this being voted on by his peers, him being the coach of the year, I think shows that if he doesn't win AP coach of the year, it's a joke of a, because I'm pretty sure it's like media.
You know what?
Voted.
I'm
think
gonna,
it's a
And
joke
wasn't
of
it
an award.
Stefanski that was in the lead? And like Lucas always
Don't
said
get me
that the
started.
Browns schedule that they really never played
Yeah.
anyone with that Joe Flacco stretch. So like even though it was impressive, they didn't play the greatest teams. But
It's
like hats
brutal.
off to him. He still did a great job. But like I still
Let's-
kind of put Dan.
You know what? Let's talk about that in a little, because it's funny you brought that up, Booner, because I was actually going to ask that question about the actual coach of the year. Excuse me. But I want to just talk about them getting the recognition they deserve, because and we'll get to the whole D'Amico Ryans, Dan Campbell, Kevin Stefanski thing, because I think it's a great conversation, and we might all agree, we might disagree. We'll see. But them two guys, like, this is the Detroit Lions. You had an NFL coach just get recognized among peers for the Coach of the Year award. You just had a Lions coach. You just had a Lions executive get recognized as Executive of the Year. I mean, it's hard enough for one of them in Lions history to get recognized. One of the two. And two of them, guys,
Jeff,
are being recognized.
Not even just Lions history. I would love to see this award in the whole NFL the last like 10, 15 years. I would love to see if there's been any and on the same team, a GM and a head coach in the same year
I think you're saying
get
for the
voted
Lions.
on. No, I'm just saying like this award in general. Like I'm sure every single year it's like when the peers vote on it, I'm sure it's not the same team that has a GM and a head coach that both win this award. I bet you it's like different. Like each, you know what I mean? It's split.
Yeah.
There's probably been a couple, but
Yeah, but like the fact
Not
that
often.
it's two Detroit Lions, GM getting the award for Executive of the Year and the head coach getting the award for Coach of the Year is like that's insane. And the fact that they did it, like the Lions and these guys, it's not like they've been. This is their third season. Like they're a year ahead of schedule for years we talked about when is the time for them to win. They're a whole year ahead of schedule, and they both got that award. Like I think it's great. You have one of the best duos in the NFL when it comes to head coach and GM. And Jeff, you and Adam always said it all the time. You need three things to win football and go win a Super Bowl: a head coach, a GM, and a quarterback. The fact that right now you're two of those three just won the best in the NFL at that, like Lions fans should feel really, and the people who say they're not going to be back next year, Lions fans should feel very, very confident, like extremely confident.
Sorry to cut you off, Boone. And what a little victory lap for Brad Holmes after everyone questioned him and all of his draft picks after this draft and where he was picking players and how he evaluated positions. Just what a victory lap and what a way to shove it in their faces. So that a boy, Brad.
Else.
So that's what dynasties are built on. I mean, I'm sure there's been teams that have had runs and stints of having Coach of the Year and Executive of the Year. I'm sure that's happened a couple times. But if you go back and you look at those teams, I'm sure a lot of them, I'm sure one of them was John Schneider and Pete Carroll when they got started in Seattle. I'm sure there was one for Andy Reid and Brett Veach in Kansas City. I'm sure
even Lynch and Shanahan. I mean, those guys. I mean,
yeah, that's what you see. And those are the teams that stay around. This is exactly what you look for. And these are what show when you have a team that's going to be around the league for a while.
Yeah. And to the point Booner brought up, it is true. I mean, you need three things in the NFL to be competent. I mean, it depends. Like you look at the two teams in the Super Bowl right now: Kansas City, San Francisco. You look at their head coach, the quarterback, and GM. Both teams in the Super Bowl, they got it right. Mahomes, Reed, Veach, and then you got Brock Purdy, Shanahan, and of course John Lynch. Like that matters. And now the Lions have Goff, Dan Campbell, and Brad Holmes. Like that right there, they check those boxes. And if you have a guy like Brad Holmes, which he's an elite talent evaluator, like he'll take care of the talent. It's like an assembly. It's like an assembly line. Brad's putting it together, and Dan's just putting like he's making it look cute. He's putting it all together on the other end of the assembly line. Like he's just getting the talent, and Dan's developing them. It's a perfect relationship, and that's the recipe to have. A dynasty is it is aggressive, but hey, I'll say it. Fuck it. Like to have a long-term success. To have long-term success, you need those things. You need that relationship. Those two, Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, those two were in lockstep, and it's impressive. Like it truly is.
Jeff.
They're tied at the hip. They are one. They are one. What, dynasties? Our dynasty?
The Booner path, 2 Super Bowls in the next 5 years.
Well, Booner,
Hey, you had to get the plug in at some point.
yeah, no, it's fair. Booner, can we start?
I've been saying that, and what I said this at the beginning of the season. What they're building, when I started the Booner Path, I said what they're building. That's what the 49ers are doing. That's what the Chiefs have done. And if you go look at like the Warriors in different leagues, like they're building from the bottom up, and to have the best head coach in the NFL and the best GM in the NFL, that is what a dynasty starts with. And the way right there, the way Sheila's done it, everyone's done the right thing. And like this is the beginning of what you see a dynasty start. And I know it's crazy because we haven't even won a Super Bowl yet. But when I started the Booner Path and started talking about it, that was the light that I started to see. And Jeff, like I know you were always like, well, you need to guarantee it. And I'm like, no, it's a vision of the future, and it's for the next 4 or 5 years.
Hey, Booner. I will say, and we know, guys. I'll two things, and I'll get to the Booner point in a second here. But the first thing, having Sheila, like she is everything. Like, guys,
my queen.
She allows Brad and Dan.
Baby, let's go.
She allows the experts to do their job. She doesn't interfere, act like she knows more than them, trying to get involved when she doesn't have to, act like she knows more than them. Like, no, she lets the football guys go to work. She steps back, asks them, what do you need? How can I help? That matters in sports. There's only like a Jerry Jones, as many games as the Cowboys have won in the regular season, like that is the antithesis of Sheila Ford. Like that is like the complete opposite. Like too much involved. Spotlight on me.
They literally call it Jerry World down in Dallas.
Like that's already.
They literally call it Jerry World.
So bad.
It hurts. It hurts any organization. It hurts any company. So for the Lions, they have that. Like Sheila doesn't need the publicity. She just wants winning football. She wants fans to be happy, and she wants a great culture. She wants people to go to work and have fun. Like that matters. So Sheila Ford, she deserves all the love in the world.
Shout out Sheila.
Well spoken, Jeff.
Look at that, Trisha Miller. Click the like button, everyone, right now, please. Trisha, you're right. If you haven't liked the stream, go ahead and do that for us. We appreciate it. ETN says, don't think y'all realize how hard it is to win a Super Bowl, let alone multiple Super Bowls. And you know what? Before you answer that, Booner, I didn't forget about you.
I've been talking this whole time. I've been on mute.
Hold on, Booner. I know it's kind of weird.
I kept saying subscribe. I said 50% of the people who watch us aren't subscribed, and I'm over here talking, and I muted myself.
I was wondering what you were doing.
And Booner, don't think I didn't forget about you. All right, and let me tell you this, okay?
Are you about to join the Booner Path? Oh, you already joined the Booner Path.
Yeah, I'm a part of the Booner Path.
And the merch?
The merch is coming out. By the way, guys,
we got some things for the merch.
Quick plug. Merchandise is on its way. It's being made. It looks beautiful. It is the Booner Path merch, Hollywood merch, Ball Knower merch, BMG merch, Crunch Time merch. All that it's coming. So
if I don't have my mustache in mine, we're redoing it.
I agree.
We need it.
Hey, we're not just saying it looks good because like it's our merch. Like, no, this genuinely, like the dude cooking for us, man. He knows a thing or two about a thing or two.
But Booner,
yeah,
yep.
You say multiple Super Bowls, which honestly, I don't hate it. Can we start with having Super Bowl appearance expectations next season?
I said you should be in the Super Bowl next year. I've made that very clear. But what I'm saying though, like yesterday, the point I was making was a disappointed season. Very disappointed season to where it's like the bottom floor. If they don't make the NFC Championship game, I'm very disappointed. Like I will be like, what did we just do? That's what I was trying to say yesterday with that stuff, to where NFC Championship game is a must. Now, Super Bowl, I expect them to do that next year. I expect them to go compete and win a Super Bowl next year. And I've been earlier this year, I've been trying to, that with the Booner Path is me trying to convince the fans to get that mindset like Ravens fans have, like Patriots fans have, Chiefs fans, to where it's every year, no matter who you lose, what you have, it's just in your mind, we're better than you. I don't care. We're going to be ignorant about it, and we're going to go into every game, and we're going to beat you by 30. And that's where Lions fans now, instead of the SOL and that 3-letter word, now it's, hey, now we're going to be a little ignorant because we have a really good organization. We have a football team that can go win a Super Bowl. That's where the Booner Path and all of that goes to, and that's the confidence level that I want every fan base or everyone in this fan base to have.
Look at this. Shout out to Jason. Jason did the research 4 times in the past 10 years. Both awards went to the same team. 2014 Cardinals, 2015 Panthers, 2022 Bills, and 2023 Lions.
That's actually
Hey.
4. That's a lot, but more than I thought.
But
Not-
like
no-
the point
be
though
too
is
big.
it's not common.
Yeah.
It's not common. Like if you're talking last 10 years, that's about a 40% rate. So it's not, again, it's not majority. So it is not common. Typically, if you're winning games, of course, you have a good general manager and you have a good head coach. But these two, man, Dan Campbell, and let's get to that now. Great pivot. Should Dan Campbell win the Coach of the Year award?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think so. Yes, I've been saying it. I can live with DeMeco Ryans winning it. I can live with it, especially after the fact he got a playoff win against a fraudski. I can live with it. But should Dan Campbell win it? In my opinion, yes. He's done something that has not been done before in Lions history. The Texans have won the AFC South before with Deshaun Watson, and they've won a playoff game with Deshaun Watson. It's been done there before, and they've only been an organization for about 25 years. The Lions go back to 1950, and they've had one playoff win.
Lucas, do you remember and I think me and you were on the same side of this argument when we were having this a couple weeks ago. And what it came down to was I kind of brought the point up that Stefanski won Coach of the Year a couple years ago because he broke that drought for the Browns to get to the playoffs and go to win a playoff game. And obviously it's a regular season award, but what he did with the Browns and that whole drought and the whole historic thing, I think he won, like, what did they win? Like 10 games, maybe 9. Like it wasn't
I think they won 11.
11. Okay, they won 11 games, and he won 11 games. The whole historic side of it, everything, everyone, the whole league got behind him, and they all voted for Kevin Stefanski. The fact that Dan Campbell right now isn't the favorite, and the fact that he probably won't win the award, he did what Kevin Stefanski did, and he got head coach of the year for it. And now Dan's not going to get it after what he did, and then in the playoffs what he did. I think it's a disgrace if he doesn't get it.
Well,
like, it's very, very, very well deserved. He should have 13 wins this year. He took a team that's hasn't won the NFC North ever, won the NFC North, hasn't won a division since the 90s, hasn't hosted a playoff game since the 90s. He did all of that with this team. And then if you want to say, oh, well, they were expected to do that this year, I don't even want to hear that. He turned this team around the last 2 seasons. He deserves that award. He deserves some sort of a praise for what he's done in this organization for the last 2 years. Yeah. That's head coach of the year this year. That is his award to win. And it's going to be a shame he's not going to win it, but he should.
So I'll let you guys, I'll let you and Mike, Lucas and Mike, I'll let you guys go because I'm actually going to disagree. So
I already said, I said,
okay.
Dan.
I kind of already said it too about Kevin Stefanski. Obviously, like Booner said too, he's already won it, and for the reasons that he did won it, he turned around the Browns, got them to the playoffs, and that's coincidentally the same thing that Dan has done this year. And like I said, the Browns really didn't play anyone too great down that stretch, and that was really when his odds skyrocketed when Joe Flacco took them on that miracle run. And then Dan really got taken out of the race after the Cowboys game, which I don't really agree with either, because obviously that game should have went another way. But I'm still going with Dan here. Just what he's done with this total team, this team in general, and this whole season, it just makes me. And I do like the DeMeco Ryans, but even towards the end of the year, you saw them kind of like, even it's not his fault, but without Stroud, they had some ups and downs. It was really the Lions were going straight up, and then the Cowboys game happened, and then Dan was kind of just stripped of that and was totally out of the conversation, which I don't agree with.
Jeff, before you go, real quick, too, I want to address this because Adam's saying DeMeco obviously went and won a division and turned that around in 1 year. DeMeco Ryans was in the AFC South, who they probably could have won the division with 9 wins. So, like, all of that to me, it's like, who cares about that? It's very well known now the NFC North was one of the better divisions in the NFL. That was shown in the playoffs. And on top of that, like, yes, some team every year goes from worst to first. That happens every year. That coach doesn't win Coach of the Year every single year just from going worst to first. He won 10 football games and he won a bad division. That's a fact. That's a matter. Like, that is exactly what it is. Dan Campbell won 12 games, should have been 13. And on top of that, he broke a 30-year drought to win a division in a division you've never won before.
So let me say that. Number one, Trisha Miller became a Crunch member. So thank you, Trisha. We appreciate the support always. Seriously, we do. I you know what? And I'll disagree. And I'll ask you guys this, okay? Because I know I'm going to get, this is going to be like, everyone's going to freak out over this. What was your expectations for the Lions this season?
I don't care about expectations when it comes to this.
It matters. It does.
I would say I expected one playoff win. If we're being real,
win the division.
Let's go.
Win a playoff game.
Win a division, win a playoff game.
Yeah.
Lions did that. And I know they made the NFC Championship game. I didn't expect them to. The Texans, they're coming off 3 seasons, guys. 3 seasons in which they won 11 games combined. DeMeco Ryans walked in there with a rookie quarterback, with a young defense, and won 10 games. I get the division's bad, but 10-7, and how CJ Stroud was playing as a rookie, he's in the MVP conversation. Yeah, he deserves a ton of credit because if they didn't have him, obviously it'd be different. DeMeco, to me, deserves to win Coach of the Year because of the job he's done. Like, to me, Coach of the Year, it's like when Brian Dable won it. Brian Dable won 9 games. Who didn't Nick Sirianni won 14 games that year? But they gave it to Brian Dable.
Let's just keep giving the award to 8 and 9 win teams. Because they were expected to win 2 games and win 8 or 9. Just keep giving it to them. Go ahead.
The Lions to be good.
Give their award to John Harbaugh.
No one expected the Texans to be good. Nobody.
And
actually, people did. Spenny said they were going to go win the division.
I thought they were going to be good too.
If DeMeco wins it, I'm not going to be appalled. But the difference between Brian Dable, DeMeco Ryans is CJ Stroud and Daniel Jones. CJ Stroud, the first game of his NFL career is harder than Daniel Jones would ever be. So the fact that Brian Dable, because they didn't have a lockdown defense whatsoever. I mean, the Texans defense wasn't lockdown, but it was definitely better than what the Giants were last year. So if you have that quarterback play compared to Daniel Jones, I think that's why you lean a little bit favor in Dable. What you said about DeMeco is not wrong whatsoever. You didn't say one lie there. But it's just, it goes back to the point of exceeded expectations even more than we originally thought, just like the Texans.
But by how much, though? Like one team?
How much does a divisional game and an NFC championship equate to in regular season games?
Well, let's look at the roster. Like, for example, one team.
The Texans roster is not that bad.
Yeah, it's real.
Guys,
but they have faced some injury.
Let's not do that now, right? Like,
they're not on the Lions level, but they're not.
The Lions, though. The Lions.
Then you just answered my point. They're not on the Lions level, and you have a rookie quarterback. You have a quarterback.
It's not a rookie
won playoff games.
It's not just a rookie quarterback.
Yeah,
okay, it's not Kenny Pickett out there.
Guys, he's a rookie. He's a rookie.
I understand, but that's just like saying, like, oh. You put
Joe
Burrow out there.
So what's Jared
Zach
Goff?
Zach Taylor didn't win rookie or coach of the year when Joe Burrow was going off. Joe Burrow got the attention. I think a little bit more attention should, when you talk about the Texans, I think, and DeMeco's not a bad coach, but I think CJ already as a rookie is doing a lot of that heavy lifting. And it's again, it's a great
he's going to win Rookie of the Year. Like, he's proven that he's a great quarterback. I mean, he's probably a top 5 quarterback in the NFL this season when you break it down.
But I don't want.
He had a top 5 quarterback. Like, we're acting like he had a bad quarterback, and he went out there and made like something out of nothing. Like, no, he actually had a pretty good roster. It was very proven. They won some big games. And I do agree. Like, I think DeMeco's going to win the award, and that to me a little bit. I agree with you, Jeff, to where he's going to win the award because he does deserve it, but I think Dan deserves it more, and I think it's because of Stefanski won it a couple years ago because of what he did and brought to the city of Cleveland. Dan has done that to Detroit on a different level than Stefanski did in Cleveland. He deserves that. That's where I'm at. This is
where I'm coming from, because I get it, but you can't. With the Lions, you have Jared Goff, who already is coming off a Pro Bowl season, and with them winning, it's like, well, Dan's doing a good job, but then a rookie comes in and plays well, and it's like, and I know DeMeco, it's not like DeMeco gets all the credit, but now it's like, no, that's all CJ Stroud. Like, so we gotta, like, the coach needs, like, you got to give the coach credit. Like DeMeco Ryans and what.
I literally just said it. Like, he's gonna win the award, so I'm giving DeMeco deserves a ton of credit.
Absolutely,
and a ton of credit.
And I think it's a less talented roster. They had expectations. I thought the Texans would win, and I think a lot of people did. Like, the people that thought they'd win 10 games. Congratulations, you were right. Like, I didn't expect that. I expected a playoff win, a division win for the Lions. They did that. Right, and we knew they had a good. We knew Amon-Ra St. Brown. What did I say before the season, Lucas? 1,400 yards. We all expected a breakout year. Sam Flannel was the only one who said Nico Collins was going to go off. Where did he come from? Like, this rock, guys.
I said 1,000 yards this year for Nico.
Oh, okay.
And Tank Dell going off too.
But Tank Dell, like, they're doing it with guys. They just, I don't know. They surprise, I think, all across the board, and I think DeMeco deserves it. But it doesn't take away from what Dan's done. I don't want that to be my argument. I got to be, I disagree. And that's why we love this show, right?
I tried looking it up too, but I'm pretty sure Stefanski closed as like a heavy favorite.
I don't think he should win it. I could be
wrong because I did have that future in, but
yeah, I agree. I think Stefanski should not win it. I think it should either be DeMeco or Dan, and I'll stand on that. Yeah. One of the two.
The top two
if it's not, if it's not, these awards are frauds. It's like the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I don't really get the Stefanski stuff. I mean, listen, I don't know. I
did a great job. It's not coach of the year material though.
Yeah,
there's a difference. Like, he's not a bad coach. He's a good coach, but I think there's just levels to just recency bias and acting like this dude's a guru. And it's like, he did not have the best quarterback play, but he had damn near the best defensive play. And then there has been many teams with the number 2 overall defense, number 1 overall, number 3 overall defense, and bad quarterback play that get into the playoffs and get bounced off in the first round.
Wait, are you talking about Stefanski?
Yes.
Yeah, and guess who he had as his DC?
Jim Schwartz.
Yeah,
and Miles Garrett and Denzel Ward. And
so it wasn't Stefanski that really did like that was like, what are we? Stefanski should not even be close to winning this. If he wins it, we should riot.
We should. All right.
But hold on, and I agree, but we can't be pulling the coordinator card in Detroit because we got a pretty good coordinator over here.
I'm just saying, like I was bringing up the point to where Lucas said he has the number 2 offense or defense, and I was like, well, Jim Schwartz is there. Like, he came in this year, and that thing kind of flipped a little. It was very obvious.
I want to change now that we kind of got that out the way. I'm glad it was a good conversation. Honestly, regardless of what you think, we agree Dan should be top 2. Like, or if you put him one,
top
cool,
2, but not 2.
And we agree that I think Kevin should be 3rd. And if I'm surprised he's a heavy favorite, Mike, you said.
I said when it did like the odds closed out or whatever, because I had that future that I cashed out. I'm pretty sure Stefanski was a heavy favorite, but I could be wrong. I tried looking it up right now, and obviously it's closed out. So
McVay should be in over Stefanski, in my opinion.
I want to say he was like 4th or 5th. He was right above Dan at the time, but that was, like I said, that was after the Cowboys game, and I'm pretty sure they closed it out after that week. So
I agree with you, Lucas. I think Sean McVay for coach, he should be
great.
More considered. Like that was ridiculous. I do want to kind of have a free agency segment where we go through some free agents. Shout out to Lions on Tap once again, Danny.
Before we move on,
what's up?
I just want to confirm, you guys, not you, Jeff, but Lukas Gentry. Jeff confirmed D'Amico Ryans over Dan Campbell fan.
I think that's fair.
I'm just joking. I don't want to
start the name. We almost got through without the false narrative.
Hey, I just want to have a joke. I've been called a Karen all day. I just wanted to throw a couple jokes out.
Hey, you brought that upon yourself.
I want to reel back in a little bit. I want to reel back in a little bit.
There's Adam Baydoun's little top 4 ranking there. Ryan,
Adam's a big McVay guy, so
I like that one, Adam. That's a good one.
But I do want to bring up a little bit of some free agents here, free agent corners, and we had a space earlier with Adam. Shout out to him, by the way. It was a lot of fun. If you didn't tune in, you can go back and re-listen to that on Twitter or on X.
Space, not a stream.
Yep, you listen. Sorry, you can't tune into it. You just listen to it. But we talked about some free agents that we think the Lions could potentially be pursuing, and Danny Bennett came out with some graphics. He's doing a great job. It's so these graphics are so clean, like OxyClean level clean. Like, these are unbelievable. So shout out to Danny Bennett for that. Beautiful. The first one, we're going to play yay or nay. I'm going to bring up some names. You guys give me a yay, a nay, and tell me why.
Are we going to go off the price that's listed on the graphic?
When I did my notes, I went off the price.
Okay. So you can go off the price, you can go off the player, whatever you guys want to do. And we'll go down. So I'll start Lucas, Mike, and then Booner. But give me your opinion on an Adoree Jackson signing from the Giants.
No, because he's just never healthy. If he could stay healthy, this would be absolutely yes, but he's never healthy.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'm paying that type of price tag for Lucas's point. If he just can't stay on the field, that's the most valuable thing for us. And we've experienced secondary injuries time after time, and it's just not the right place, not the right time to get a guy like him.
Yeah, I say no as well. My notes say $11 million in an injury bug ? Nope.
Booner, the way I do, that's what I love.
My notes say no.
Yeah, but the rumor is Booner's notes is honestly that's the elite. I'm with you guys. I'm going to say no to Adoree Jackson. Injury reasons was really my number one. He's fine when he's healthy, but the money and including not being available, we don't need another corner that isn't available. We already have Emmanuel Mosley, and he's gone this year. So no more unavailable corners, please. We need guys that can stay healthy. So, yeah, I'm with you guys. So the next one we're going to bring up. The next one we're going to bring. Oh God! That's me. The next one we're going to bring up is Lucas's guy. Yeah, Kendall Fuller.
Fuck no.
Kendall
For
Fuller.
14, you gotta be smoking some pack. You gotta be smoking some strong
Kendall
pack on that
Fuller.
one.
Kendall
Not
Fuller.
a chance.
Look at that. Kendall Fuller, the man in the secondary that's one of the worst in the NFL.
Yeah, the reason why he's like the 7th graded PFF quarter is because Benjamin St. Juste on the other side was just getting nuked on the whole time. And so, look, he's not like a bad corner, but for $14 million, you are out of your goddamn mind. There is no way. You bring him in after you bring in the corner that you want, so you kind of leverage like, yeah, we might be able to go with Kendall, but in that situation, you might blow the opportunity with Stephon Gilmore. So, no, you keep him away from Detroit. You let him go to Chicago. You let him go to Green Bay. You let him go to Minnesota, but you don't let him in Allen Park. No.
Don't let him. It's like the Jamal Adams thing where he's like, oh, must have got cut. Like that's Kendall Fuller.
No, I'm passing on the price tag, and someone in here had a good comment, like Cam Sutton 2.0. I'm not saying that because Cam had a very good stretch in the first half of the season, but he might have been Cam Sutton 2.0 in the second half. So, but no, I'm not taking that price tag. If you can cut that down a little bit, maybe, and it's a more favorable team option, then
give me maybe, 7. I'll take it for 7.
At that price tag, there's no way in hell, and there's no way Brad is stupid enough to give out that type of money. So.
What do you think, Booner?
Boone.
What do the notes say, Booner?
Watch Booner, like his notes say yeah, and he's like,
the notes say, I'll read exactly what this sentence says. It says 14 million ? I'll pass on that.
The notes aren't wrong.
The notes. I mean, what are we doing here? Like Kendall Fuller. I mean, it's a name. I think we have to think about this too. There are a lot of names out there. Just because someone has a name doesn't mean they're like a great fit. And like you have to look at price tag. What has he done? Age, like everything like that. Cam Sutton is like, what do we pay him this year? 10 million? 11?
11, yep.
11 million. And now we know he's not our corner one. So now you have to be careful now. And Brad has to be careful his next step when it comes to building this defense. $14 million for Kendall Fuller is, and I hope these I think this is a spot track or Spo track or whatever that puts these prices up. So guys, it could depend on years and deals and different things.
Yeah, but you just see where they're like graded out compared to the other players. I think like this obviously isn't going to be where they're signed to on the dot. Like even if Brad gets one of these guys, you can guarantee. Like let's just use Kendall Fuller for the example. If we were to sign Kendall Fuller, Brad would get him probably for 11.
Yeah,
if they sign.
Yeah,
Let's know.
If you guys disagree with the price, you can say like the player, hate the price. You can do that too. You don't have to. It's up. But again, I don't think anybody likes Kendall Fuller. So I think that we can.
I remember Lucas talking shit about him like multiple times throughout the year. Him and a few other corners. So I already knew where that was going as soon as Lucas had to answer.
Yeah, I'm out on Kendall Fuller too. I think if you're price tag, and again, like Lucas, you made that point earlier, and it got me kind of shook. Like when you made that point earlier, like he is on the worst secondary in the NFL, and he hasn't done jack shit. I'm like, what? He's right. Like he's a part of the problem. He's not the solution.
Last time you've seen or heard of a Kendall Fuller highlight.
That's a good point. You know who I've seen a lot of highlights of? Stephon Gilmore.
Yes, that's the man. That's the man. Even if they brought him in for 11.1, right player.
11.1 is I bet less than Fuller, and he's a better player. Yeah, I'm cool with that.
You signed Cam Sutton for 11 million. You signed Stephon Gilmore to 11 million.
And does Stephon Gilmore give you like because what is he 34? This is telling me he's at the age where he's like, and again, he joined Dallas. I want to win, which Dallas is not the place to do that. Maybe not the Lions, but again, they went to the NFC Championship game, so they've done more than the Cowboys have done in my lifetime already. I think this would be a destination spot for Stephon Gilmore. I do.
I think, like, honestly, you brought up Leonard Floyd the other day. I think him and Stephon Gilmore are the most realistic free agent options for the Detroit Lions defense. Because to your point earlier, what you're just saying about the Dallas Cowboys, Gilmore went on that team to chase a ring. He thought maybe I can win one in Dallas. You just saw the Lions in the NFC Championship game who damn near beat the Cowboys, so he knows what the Lions are all about, physical culture guy. He is up there in age. He's 33, 34, but he's playing like he's 29. And it's because he's going back. Stephon Gilmore, he was always the guy that went low. He took care of his body. He always has like 1 or 2 interceptions a year, but it's because he's not getting a lot of targets. And he did the same thing in Dallas. He has not had a huge drop-off, and I would not expect that to happen with Aaron Glenn and the safety help and Aiden Hutchinson in front of him.
Yeah, I think you know what type of player Gilmore is and like the veteran presence he could bring to a secondary that has had some troubles over the year. I wouldn't mind it as long as you can get him anywhere in like a short-term contract, hopefully like 2 years and anywhere between 8.5 million up to like 11 or so. I would say that's a fair price for him. I wouldn't mind it. It's definitely not my first choice, but I wouldn't be disappointed if that came across my Twitter for sure.
I mean, when I saw him against AJ Brown in Dallas, when he shut down AJ Brown and he was talking shit to AJ Brown and he got AJ Brown rattled, forced a fumble on AJ Brown to close the game. And who do the Lions have to go up against in the playoffs potentially? The Eagles. And if AJ Brown, there's trade noise around him right now. So if he's able to do that, Cam Sutton ain't doing that. And I'm sorry, I don't think Stephon Gilmore turns into like a lockdown corner, but he's an upgrade in many ways.
What about you, Boone?
Can you guys
What do the notes say? What do the notes say?
Before I read the notes, I want to say this. I think it would actually be really good. This is just off the top of my head. I think him and Cam Sutton actually would like that. Putting Cam over to that corner too, and like that's an upgrade than having Kendall Vildor and kind of what you've been working with there with Jerry Jacobs and kind of rotating guys, Khalil Dorsey. Like this is going to be an upgrade no matter what. The notes say this though. There's four bullet points. One, saw him get cooked versus the Packers. I saw a couple videos today of highlights of him getting absolutely cooked versus the Packers. Number two, that's the second bullet point, says old. Third one, cheaper than 10 million, please, Brad. And that was all the notes. So I think, to be honest, I would love him if it's not at 11 million. I just can't see, and you probably have to pay him 11, to be honest. But if he wants to win and leave Dallas and come somewhere who just went to an NFC Championship game, his brother's here. I think if he wants to give himself a chance to go win win a Super Bowl, I think this is a perfect spot for him. I just think like the price tag is what it always comes down to me. Like, you're already paying Cam 11. You probably have to do a 10 or 11 again with him. I do think, and at the end of the day, I do think it's an upgrade from what you have already. Does that mean it's a good thing? A good decision? No. But if he's like kind of one of your last choices and you need a corner, like, that's what I would rather have him than draft someone in the draft and put that guy out there.
Yeah, and for me with Stephon, like, yes, he's up there in age. He's out of his prime. He's still a good corner. There's times where again his age shows, like that's fair. But to Lucas's point, like you're getting a guy in this room that's number one, played at the highest level. It has played really well, but he has so much experience. Like so much experience. He's again, like nothing would surprise Stephon Gilmore. Like he has seen literally everything. He has seen so many types of receivers. I would love that, especially in this room. But again, even to Adam's point, he brought this up. Like maybe the guys we're talking about, there might be somebody else that Brad adds at the deadline. Like it could not just be this offseason. So I like Stephon. I don't know if I love him at 11. I would like maybe a 1-year deal for less than 10. Maybe you can get him on like, hey, come chase a championship. We need a guy like you, a veteran, another veteran in this locker room. Maybe he joins, but I'm not going to, I'm not putting all my chips in for Stephon Gilmore. But again, out of these corners, he's the one I want out of the guys we just went through. I don't know.
I mean, everybody's saying getting cooked by the Packers, but so was Deron Bland. CeeDee Lamb was dropping passes. Like that whole team did not that whole team didn't show up. So I'm not saying he didn't get cooked, but especially if you think about the Lions and zone coverage this year, how it was a disaster. Stephon Gilmore, when he won Defensive Player of the Year, that was what he was changing the way that you were using corners and zone coverage for a little bit of that time, where the whole prototype of a corner, you wanted a long corner that could read zone coverage, but also man up on you because everybody wanted to go man to man. Well, when Richard Sherman and Stephon Gilmore were at their primes, it was all about zone coverage corners.
Yeah, and I think I want to make sure I get the comment right here who said it. I think it was Big John. I think Big John brought up, and it's actually a perfect point too. You look at that Packers game, like the Packers ran the ball at will. So again, like they're keeping this defense just like your defensive line, of course, getting pressure matters. Like you saw what Cam Sutton, he was already not playing well, but if you can't get pressure, like, yeah, he's not playing. He's going to be playing terrible. So, assuming they upgrade this defensive line, you'd think the secondary would have a little easier job trying to stay in coverage there. It wouldn't have to guard receivers for as long. So hopefully that's the case. Here's another corner, more expensive. And these guys, I don't know how likely the signings actually are, but just the thought of spending money on these guys, a L'Jarius Sneed. I think, to be honest with you, I think Kansas City has to franchise this man, right?
Yeah.
In my head, every time I hear L'Jarius Sneed, all I think is there's no way he leaves Kansas City.
Yeah.
Well,
I just
here's the
don't
thing
see
that
it happening.
the thing that they're going to be up against, Chris Jones. He might be walking as well, so I think they make it a priority to sign Chris Jones over him.
I'll lock in and play corner.
But to your point, you extend Chris Jones long term, and then you franchise tag L'Jarius Sneed. I don't know, but to your point, even if the Chiefs let him walk, do you think Brad's going to sign him for big money? I hope so. I just don't think it's realistic. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't think he leaves the Chiefs, and even if he did, I don't think he's going to be a destination here because, like we've talked about, I think it's going to be a lower guy, like eight being minimum, like to 12 million, and you kind of get that guy to slot in at quarterback one for a fair price and a reasonable price. And I don't think the 60 million or basically what Sneed is going to command that Brad's going to fall for that. So
hey, Brad too, like that's a lot of money, guys.
Yeah,
like think about this, like Brad's. And what's his name? Who's the guy who's been dealing with the cap and just had a GM interview? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Mike Disney.
Mike Disney. Like they have done so much work to get this cap space and everything worked out. They're not just going to go out there and just start throwing money around. Is here, you take this, you take this. Again, it goes back to the point that we talked about earlier in the show. They're building a long-term franchise and kind of a dynasty kind of type of deal. To do that, you just don't go out there and just pay a ton of money for guys. So I just don't think 16 million. That's a lot of money. It's a ton.
Yeah,
especially
guys,
if you have 11 on
Cam's
son. That's 27, almost $30 million of your cap space just on two corners. That's kind of crazy. That's insane.
Yeah, I think Brad is going to approach this offseason the same way he's approached every offseason, which is, and I appreciate how he's done it, right? Like you're not throwing, especially because Brad is such an elite talent evaluator that he wants to keep the guys he's drafted and re-sign them and have get those guys second contracts. I don't see him going out and spending a bunch of money. Like I don't. I can see him spending smart money, like we mentioned it. You go get a Stephon Gilmore on a 1-year deal. You get a Leonard Floyd on a pretty good deal. Those are two guys that immediately upgrade your defense. Yep. And you don't have to spend a lot for them, and you're not committed to those guys long term. I think Brad does the same thing this offseason than he kind of did last offseason, right? Like you get a David, you get a Cam Sutton, and that was kind of all he did, right? And Emmanuel Mosley. It wasn't like too much. It wasn't anything sexy, but it worked. Like look at
now think about this.
He did that last second too. Go ahead though, Boone.
I was gonna say, think about this. Like one of these guys, if they want to just go win a Super Bowl, L'Jarius Sneed, like let's 1-year deal. Come on, just a 1 year. Well, that doesn't hurt your cap for the future. 1 or 2 year deal. Like you're not putting yourself in a cap, like a bad space for the next couple of years. Maybe someone will do that. Who knows?
And
what's Lucas doing over there?
I spilled some water. I was trying not to make it get everywhere.
Dude, I spilled a drink in my cup holders in my car. Brutal. It
that's
fills
the worst.
Up. It
that's
fills
the
up.
Worst. Like while you're driving, that's like one of the most frustrating elements.
You're helpless, dude.
Yeah, you
helpless.
Are. In like this is a perfect comment too. Cap friendly choices. Nick is right. That's Uncle Nick.
While I do agree with that, right. Jeff, that he is going to be spending his money wisely, just like he did last year. He still needs to go out and get that dog, and he's going to have to pay, someone. And I do expect that to happen. Like I do expect every contract to be smart, and he's going to spend wisely, but he's going to have to spend a little bit on someone or addressing the defensive line or the secondary, maybe even both. But you're going to have to pay a dog.
And I know there's zero chance of Sneed does a 1-year deal. Like he's going to want to get a big contract.
Yeah.
I'm just saying one of these corners here that work, like a lot of these guys are over 11 million. One of these guys that we're talking about, like a Stephon Gilmore, if he does a 1-year, like he's a guy that would do a 1-year deal. Come do that with Detroit. Like do that. It doesn't hurt our cap space going after this next year. Do it. I saw some people in the chat. He won't do a 1 year. No, I think a couple of these guys would.
And also to kind of clear this up, because I agree with you guys, I think Sneed's going to get his money somewhere. I don't think it's going to be like a CJ situation where he doesn't get the money he wants and he ends up signing a 1-year deal. I don't think it happens with Sneed. I think he's too good. Like he's going to get a deal somewhere, if not with Kansas City. I think that same thing applies to this man.
Yeah,
I think this man will be franchise tagged if not signed. This is not happening with the Lions. I wanted to just stay. I saw it on social media, people talking about Jalen Johnson. There is no chance, number one, even if he was available for Brad to sign, he's not spending money on. He's not. Him and the Bears couldn't come to an agreement, right? They tried to negotiate with him, and he wanted significant money. There's no way in hell this is happening. No way in hell. I think Brad plays this offseason smart and spends the money in the right places, but not. He's still non-committal. It's like both. He's doing it both ways.
Yeah, I don't see a way. This is going to be. I think it's more likely that he leaves than Snead, but to your point, Jeff, it's not happening. And especially hearing him talk with Keyshawn Johnson right before the Lions played the Buccaneers going into it, that I think he's staying with Chicago. They were emphasizing like Chicago's offered a bag and has kind of just been waiting around. He'll probably take a couple offers, but I think he stays in Chicago.
Ultimately, I do too, but this was number one on my wish list if I'm going to grab a guy from the secondary, and that I would be okay paying that extra little bit of money would be him. But like you guys said, I don't think he is going to leave, but hopefully he does come. Hopefully he does get released. And
I don't even want to read my notes.
Read your notes.
It's like a paragraph.
All right.
Oh my God.
We got time. We got time.
I put Jalen Johnson, won't happen, period. But please give me him and draft a defensive lineman. Again, won't happen, period. Can Brad get his price tag down, question mark? Maybe he wants to win, question mark?
Well, that's Booner's journal kind of sounds like it's like a
these are bullet points. It's bullet points.
Like it's like please Brad sign like speaking.
He's manifesting. He's manifesting.
Yeah. Like you're manifesting, Boone. Like you're just putting it on paper. Like I don't hate it. Hey. If you can get a guy in a flyer deal, yeah, of course.
I should take my notes and just ship it to Allen Park. And just,
you know what you should do? You should write Booner Path like 1,000 times in there. Like the Lions will win a Super Bowl. The Lions will win a Super Bowl. The Lions will win a Super Bowl. And then it's going to happen.
Oh, I've done a lot of different things to kind of force Super Bowls and do things around here.
You DM Jared Goff like every game day. Every game.
A lot. I want it on record as well, too. I DM'd Jared Goff when he was in like 2 years ago, saying I used to DM him and say winner's mentality, lock in. This is the brand new Lions time, like mindset. It's about mindset, Jared. And I was letting him know. I want it very well known too. 2 years ago, I messaged him Super Bowl mentality. We're going to win a Super Bowl in 2024. Soon as last year ended, I just kept messaging him Super Bowl 2025, 2020 or 2024, 2024. December, before they went on this run, I messaged him again, said winner's mentality, Jared. We're going to the Super Bowl 2024, and it almost happened. We were up 17 points, about to go to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of works.
Hey, you got to lock in, and you know what? When I say I'm the Booner Path, and I'm a leader of the Booner Path, I lead by example.
He's probably terrified of you, bro. He probably thinks you're a psycho.
I mean, half the people on the team know who I am from the Kool-Aid videos.
He's probably like, yeah, that's that psycho that DM'd me at 3 a.m. every night, tell me to lock in.
And he probably gets locked in. He probably wakes up, he sees it, and he's like, okay, Booner saw it, Booner locked in.
No, Boone. He first it
has nothing to do with me loving Jared Goff either. This is me loving the Detroit Lions.
You're like Booner. You're a hell of a motivator, man. Like,
yeah,
hey,
thank you. I can read a couple.
Can get you riled up. Like he can. It worked.
Read a couple.
Yeah, they actually show the people. Yeah. Like put it on
screen. Show, but I'll read it out loud. I'll read a couple. I put some quotes. The last one I sent him was December 12th. When they were going through that bad stretch of football, I said, Jared, keep your head up, brother. Don't listen to the doubters and the naysayers. Be great. Attack every day. Winner's mentality. Change the narrative in Detroit. Remember what I said above. Detroit Lions Super Bowl champions. Booner.
Put it up to the screen real quick just so we can see. Make sure you're not capping.
I'm dead serious. I can
No, I know. Just put
I'll
the phone up to the screen. Show the people. Yeah, there we go.
I'm just
put it in your camera.
I would screenshot it here.
That would make sense, Jeff. That's why we're not doing it.
I want people to see it.
Well,
we could just put it up to your camera.
Just put it up to your camera, Boone. What do you got, like nudes on there?
If someone texts me or something, I don't want to.
Oh my God!
I sent it.
What do you got, Chit? You got what's going on with you, Boone?
Dude, just respect me, hey.
I was just asking.
Coach Wog.
I sent it. It's in our group, so if you want to pull it up, it's in our group chat.
All right. Gee, okay.
Pull it up.
I already read it out loud. That's exactly what I said. I mean, I can even read more. I mean, this is I'm locked in, man. I sent him a Michael Jordan quote. I said attack the day, winner's mentality. Today is an opportunity to build the tomorrow you want. Booner, attack the day, winner's mentality.
Oh, it's great.
I texted him. I messaged him this. I said, discipline plus focus plus action equals success. Attack today.
Dude, I would
mentality.
hate you. Oh
It
my
says
god.
Booner. It literally says Booner on
Block.
it.
Block.
No,
Hey.
I'm locked in, dude.
Didn't
I hope it
Instagram
works for Jared.
Instagram has a new feature that came out. Like some people that don't follow you back, to where if you message them, like if you go message someone new on Instagram, like right now, I messaged someone yesterday. But no, until they follow you back or respond to you, you can only send one message. So I went to go message him before the NFC Championship game, and I've sent him so many already, to where the new Instagram feature, I wasn't able to send him one for the NFC Championship game. So if you guys want to blame the loss on someone, blame it on Instagram, because they took the feature away.
He's probably waiting for your message too. He probably got
Instagram was
disappointed wasn't
protecting
there.
Jared Goff from you.
Yeah.
Thomas, I'm not.
That's what happened. It wasn't an update. They were protect. That's probably only Booner features
Yeah, that's fair.
for the poor ladies of the internet too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I will say, Boone, like, hell of a job, man. Like, commitment.
You're committed. You're committed. Can't deny that.
I laid from the front when it comes to the Booner path.
Yeah, no, Booner does not mess around. He wants the Lions to be great.
And I want to know too, he did not block me. This is a legit feature that Instagram came out with. I just want that known.
It's a feature. It's a feature.
I'm sure Jared's seen the Kool-Aid videos too. If St. Brown posted, I'm sure he's seen them. Dan saw it. Brad saw it. Like, I'm sure he's.
It's time for Around the NFL, boys. Let's go around the NFL.
Locked in.
Yep, we'll talk about some new hires. I got a graphic here per 33rd team, showing all the hires this offseason. Here, and Antonio Pierce, did I miss that? He's still the head coach, right? Officially.
Yep.
Okay, I gotta get back locked in.
You need to lock in, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I just haven't been like watching
No excuses. No excuses.
Well, Antonio, by the way, well
Winners
deserved.
mentality.
Well deserved, and they got Cliff Kingsbury, right, to be their OC.
Yep.
So that's big time.
That just
Here you
happened.
go. I'll start at the top. Dan Quinn, new head coach of the Commanders. Mike McDonald, a Michigan man.
Let's go, Mike.
He was a Michigan man for a
Mike.
part of his
Go
career
Blue.
as well. Did a great job with the Ravens defense. He is the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. They get another defensive-minded head coach after Pete Carroll. We'll see how that works out. Youngest head coach in the league also. Raheem Morris returns to Atlanta. Funny enough, he was on the same staff with Dan Quinn, Kyle Shanahan, those guys. And then he was the interim head coach. They didn't want him, and now he's back. So they just can't get rid of him. He's back with the Falcons once again. Dave Canales, the offensive coordinator of the Bucs, who did a really good job this season with Baker Mayfield. He got hired by the Panthers. Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers, big time hire. Brian Callahan.
Let's go, Jim.
Brian Callahan, the OC of the Bengals, he goes to the Tennessee Titans to be their head coach. And, of course, Antonio Pierce stays with the Raiders. Good choice. Great choice.
Like that.
And then Gerard Mayo with the Patriots, which we kind of talked about, the Gerard Mayo. But more specifically, guys, Dan Quinn, Mike McDonald, Raheem Morris, Dave Canales. Thoughts on the hires? Anything specific you like? Anything you don't like? Because I got some thoughts, but please.
First one I want to throw out there real quick. The Dan Quinn hire. I saw something on Twitter today that basically said that, and whoever the new GM is in Washington, he had weeks and weeks to kind of get a new coach, and new ownership, new everything. And they went out and got Dan Quinn. And the quote that I saw was, Dan Quinn is basically just a bald Ron Rivera. And when I heard, so like they had a chance to go get all of these different coaches, and it was such a good coaching class. I feel like a coaching free agent class, and they ended up with Dan Quinn, which like I don't think he's not going to be bad, but like when you're trying to build something new and kind of set a new tone, you see what Dan Campbell's done, you see what some of these young coaches have done. I almost would have gone like when I look at that Commander's job, I just go, how in the world does Mike Vrabel go through this and not have a head coaching job? Mike Vrabel to me is almost better than every coach on that list. He had the Tennessee Titans with Ryan Tannehill in the playoffs every single year. Mike Vrabel is the best coach in this coaching class, and the fact he does not have a job, it makes me think he pulled out of a lot of these jobs and said, I'm going to take a year. But the fact that the Commanders ended with Dan Quinn and this whole coaching class happened, to me, it's like that's the cool. I think that might be the most questionable part of it. And I saw that a lot of people aren't happy with the new GM that literally just got brought in with new ownership, young GM, and they don't like that move off the jump, which is not good for a GM.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
honestly, I think the
Go ahead,
command.
Gentry.
Oh, sorry, Lucas, my
No,
bad.
you're good. Go. You're good.
I think the Commanders totally just got boned by Ben Johnson, and that was who they were going to, and then they didn't
Could
really
be.
have a backup plan after him. So like, and then they kind of settled on Dan Quinn. But I do like the Mike McDonald hire, although I did think the Seattle was going to go more offensive minded when they were doing their hire. That's what one thing that confused me, because I do think Geno Smith is going to eventually work his way out of there, and they are going to be looking for a quarterback. So when you're taking that next step with a new head coach, I think like you would rather want an offensive guy, kind of like pick his quarterback and kind of move on in that situation. But the Dan Quinn one, it really did confuse me. But like I said, I do think Ben Johnson kind of left them in an awkward position, and they didn't really have a second option or really a backup plan after that. I think they thought Ben was going to take that, and Ben kind of screwed him.
And at least for me, guys, like with the Commanders thing, Gentry, you're right. I think they fully expected Ben Johnson, because again, Adam Peters, the GM of the Commanders, he worked under John Lynch, so he's been around Shanahan. He knows what to me, guys, if I'm being real with you, there's two ways this could go. I think Adam Peters, the GM of the Commanders, wanted Ben bad, and then they pivoted to Dan Quinn to be like, all right, we need a guy to come in here, change the culture. Your hope is he can be D'Amico. That's your hope, right? He comes in, rookie quarterback. They have a ton of money. You hope. Now, will it happen, Lucas? Probably not. It's hard to do that. It's hard to do that. That's what they're hoping, right? They can bring in a rookie like Drake May. He can ball out. He gets the assistants right, like D'Amico did, because he is a defensive guy, but he nailed his assistants. Can Dan Quinn do that? I don't know. And if he can't, this to me, it would almost be a placeholder move. Like this would be a guy you have.
It feels like.
It's almost like you're holding Mike Vrabel's jockstrap for him right now. You're like just waiting for it. Like he's not going to go there. But the only thing Dan Quinn's going to be good for in Washington, in my opinion, is he's occasionally, in his short little time that he'll spend there, he's going to get a win against Dallas at home just because it's his revenge game, quote unquote. They're still going to be third or fourth in the NFC East. This, in my opinion, their ceiling, their window stayed the exact same, because the NFL is just changing by the day, and you need an offensive head coach if you're going to be having a rookie quarterback with a bad defense. I understand that D'Amico Ryans is an exception, but he's an exception for a reason. You don't see that every day, and it's almost like you need a perfect pairing with what seems to be a future all-pro quarterback for a long time to come with C.J. Stroud. And I'm sorry, I don't think Drake May and Dan Quinn are going to amount to that.
And can I throw out another coach real quick? Are we going through some more?
Go for it, Boone.
No,
and to be honest, and it's not because I'm a Michigan man, nothing like that. I do like the Seahawks getting Mike McDonald. I do really love that. He was like wanted by almost every opening, at least from what I heard. I was watching the Pat McAfee show today, and McAfee came out and even said like he was a finalist in multiple teams kind of coaching search. A lot of teams just didn't want to, or I guess maybe didn't want to wait until they were done with their playoff run and went on with different coaches. But there was a rumor that McAfee said that, or I think it might have been Shefty said that if the Ravens would have won and gone to the Super Bowl, that the Seahawks would have been just fine to wait until after the Super Bowl to meet with McDonald and kind of go through that. So I think they got their guy, actually. I think they wanted him all along. He didn't get any of the other jobs, and he was a finalist. And when they saw that he was available, that was like who they wanted from the jump. I know he's 36 years old, but we've seen a lot of young coaches, and he is a defensive guy. I just think the mentality he brings coming from Michigan, from a hardball tree, and then over both of the hardball trees, like he's coming from a crazy football background. I think he's going to be really good in Seattle, to be honest. I think that was a really good hire.
Yeah, and I want to put this up because I have some thoughts on just this comment. Justin, the whole defensive-minded head coach is overrated. It's the coordinators that matter. And I'll tell you the difference. Okay, so I'm a guy, and
Jeff.
Regardless of what teams do, I'm always going to lean offensive-minded head coach. That's what I've always wanted. I mean, look at the Super Bowl. I mean, Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan. You don't have two defensive-minded coaches in there. And the reason why that matters, you could be a D'Amico Ryans if you have a Bobby Slowick as your OC, who's really good. But this is why the Lions with Dan Campbell, I think Dan, and of course, the whole meathead thing gets thrown around. He's a lot smarter than people give him credit for, and he's an offensive-minded guy. Like I believe Sean Payton called him kind of the offensive version of Mike Vrabel. He could be, and I think you're seeing it now because, of course, with an NFC Championship appearance. I'm always going to lean offense. Most of the coaches in the playoffs are offense. That's how it works. Most of the best coaches are offense. Now you have your exceptions, of course, but how the league's moving, you need an offensive-minded head coach. That's my opinion. Now, how this could work is you have a guy like Mike McDonald or Dan Quinn, and they got to get their coordinators right. Remember, Dan Quinn had Kyle Shanahan as his OC, went to a Super Bowl, had a 28-3 lead, and I remember what happened after that. It can work, but the Lions are doing it the right way because Ben Johnson is an elite coordinator, but you have faith because of Dan. He's an offensive mind. Of course, you won't have the same play caller, but Dan gets it enough to where he can go find. That's why I don't want Tanner Eckstrand to leave. Yeah, we'll get to him in a second, but that matters.
I get the offensive and defense side of things. I'm just starting to like get this little feeling to where, like, and you saw in the last couple of years to where everyone was like, hey, we needed a young offensive minded coach because that's what you saw with Sean McVay and LaFleur and all these different guys and Shanahan. I think there's this like kind of little side now of head coaches that are coming out like a Dan Campbell, a D'Amico Ryans, to where you can go win football games, bringing in a great culture and setting the tone and bringing in your own OC and DC. And if you hire correctly, and you're setting the culture correctly, that's where I think McDonald does really well in Seattle. Is I think that he's got that culture, and he knows kind of this like what you have to build and the foundation of a good organization. And I think a guy like him, like Dan did in Detroit, I think that's something more to where some organizations are looking at. And a Mike McDonald, dude, I do think he comes in, sets a culture, sets, hey, this is what we're about. He was in Baltimore for a couple of years, and he knows what that's about. And I think if he brings the right OC in, he brings the right DC in, that he can win there. And that's what a lot of teams are looking for now. They want that Dan Campbell kind of that grit and that culture build up.
And I will say this, and I want Lukas and Gentry, I want your guys' kind of thoughts on this. So I'll tell you in a second the benefit of having an offensive-minded head coach, but I do think the NFL is a copycat league, and I think with Dan Campbell having the success he's having with being a leader of men, of course, offensive-minded, but he is a leader of men.
Yes, I think that's number one.
Yeah, and it is. I would agree with you, Boone. And I think that's becoming more of a trend in the NFL. Teams are looking at them being like, hey, maybe we do need a leader of men. I still like offensive-minded coaches, and I'll tell you why. Because if you have a defensive-minded head coach and he has a great coordinator, guys, what happens? That coordinator is going to be hired. And if you have an offensive-minded head coach and his coordinators leave, like a Shanahan and McVay, what happens?
Ben Johnson?
What happens? Nothing, because they're the play caller. So you have a consistency between your head coach and your quarterback.
Booner's mind just exploded.
Well, no, I'm just thinking like you're like, if a guy leaves, you're screwed. But guess what? Ben's still here.
Yeah, but you see where I'm going.
There will be a time when Ben leaves.
That's why I would always lean offensive-minded coach.
Yeah,
and I think,
which is fair.
Look what Kyle Shanahan left Dan Quinn. I mean, hell. I mean, you see the difference. Like, that's why for guys like Shanahan in San Francisco or McVay in LA, like if guys leave, it doesn't.
So you don't you don't be against like a Vrabel, of Vrabes?
Like
not necessarily against it, but there's definitely the cons of having it. Like there's more chances. I think there's a bigger room for air longevity wise for success. That makes sense.
He's right. And that's where it's not that I don't like Dan Quinn, but if you're asking me like, Jeff, if you had a preference, I'm always going offensive minded head coach, especially if you have a rookie quarterback. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with that. But if like a team is already offensively tuned and they do have a bunch of veterans, and then the one problem is their defense, and like you said, they don't have a rookie quarterback or whatever like that, that's where a guy like Mike McDonald, I feel like, would strive in. He comes in and he already has kind of the offense built for him a little bit. He has weapons, kind of like the Seahawks do, but they do still have problems at quarterback. But on the defensive side of the ball, they got a lot of young pieces that are going to be there for a while. So I think a situation like that benefits him.
Mm-hmm. I think the Seahawks are going to be just fine with him, to be honest.
Yes,
I think that's like a very good.
I like Mike McDonald, man. He seems like he's got it. He's got everything to get. And again, if you're bringing in Tanner Eckstrand, which we'll transition to right now, there's the Michigan connection, right? Like they both worked. They both worked under Jim Harbaugh. I think the Chargers hired Tanner Eckstrand. I think that is an easy layup hire because
did they already get an OC?
I think you would.
Did they?
Go ahead.
I don't know.
Maybe I don't recall it
because
I think it'd be idiotic for Tanner to leave. I really do.
You do?
Okay. I think it would be Ben Johnson. His days are numbered in Detroit, whether we like to admit it or not. That's just the fact of it. So why are you not going to take the opportunity not to only to observe what's going around in the locker room in Detroit and get experience for how Dan leads a team, but in clutch moments, because Ben Johnson this season and then next season, he's already been in big situations. So now you can kind of get a glimpse And then when Ben leaves, you can run the show. And then that's only going to boost your resume. If you're going to have success anywhere, it's going to be in Detroit, not in LA right now in the AFC West when you got to go up and get Mahomes, etc. Like, it's just that's a difficult place to win. I understand Harbaugh's there, but it's still difficult if you look at the quarterbacks in the AFC. Detroit is a perfect place for any up-and-coming coordinator to be. I think it'd be idiotic to risk it to go anywhere else just to get the job now, because the job that's going to be there now is going to be there later.
Yeah, and I'm totally lockstep with Lucas on that. The only reason I think Tanner may be inquiring about other positions is if it's been relayed down to him that he is not next in line and that they may go somewhere else regarding the OC position. But like I said, this is got to be the best position. If I was him, like Lucas has said, Ben Johnson is obviously on and upwards, and hopefully he stays for as long as possible, but he's going to be a hot candidate next year and maybe even the year after that for a head coach. So his time is very limited here. Why wouldn't you wait and just take over one of the best offenses in the league rather than go take a gamble on a team like Tampa Bay, who is losing players, maybe like Mike Evans, and they still have some question marks at quarterback? Why wouldn't you be in the most secure situation possible? But like I said, I think that message might have been relayed to him that he is not next in line.
Do you know too what I and I've had this conversation on the last show I was on, was like a guy like him, like Ben Johnson. I don't know if you guys remember when he was the passing game coordinator. A lot of these guys that are kind of take that next step to be an OC, like they're still maturing. They're still kind of getting a feel for it. It's just like becoming a head coach. Like Ben, like Dan talked about it in a press conference a couple weeks ago. Like he's still like working with Ben on like, these are situations you're going to deal with. This is going to happen. Like you still have to mature to do that. If you watch some of Tanner's like press conferences and like he still is kind of trying to take that next step to be like, do a press conference every week, go out there and talk to the media, do this, play call, do all these different things. So he's still learning. You could potentially, if he doesn't end up getting an OC job, him taking these interviews and kind of going out there, that's kind of him growing and being like, all right, here's that next step. Dan telling him, hey, take these interviews, go out there, see what this is like, go do these interviews, put yourself in that OC mindset, because next year that's going to be you here in Detroit. So maybe he doesn't take a job. Like, and if he's getting like the Seahawks one, that's a great one. The Chargers one, if he somehow gets that's a tough one to pass down. But if Dan's communicating with him like, hey, this is your chance, like next year you're up, or like Gentry said, you're not the next guy up. I think he's doing all of these for a reason, because he does need to grow at the end of the day. Like Broder told me when he watches him at press conferences earlier this year, like he just never had that like right away, that persona that putting out like he's a kind of a leader right now. Like he's that OC kind of, you get that feeling. But I went back and watched Ben's 2 years ago. He didn't have that either, but he gradually got to it. So I think that's kind of what's going on with Tanner right now, is he's taking that step.
This is a fair eye king horse. That is 36. When I was 36, I was doing coke off a hooker's ass.
Material.
Golden years for you, horse. Golden years.
That's fair. That
golden year.
Oh,
he never misses. Funny. He never misses.
No, he doesn't. Well, the whole for me with Tanner, like he's next. He should be next in line. And Mike might be right. Like maybe he was because again, maybe he figured this year was going to be the year, or this Gentry. Either A, he was told like, hey, Scotty Montgomery's going to be there, be in charge of the up, or he figured he was going to be the OC this year, and now he's like, shit, I got to wait another year, and now I can go be an OC right now for another team, like to get quick to, again, move up the ranks faster to be a head coach one day. Maybe that's how he's looking at it. I don't know. I don't want him to leave. I don't, because he's been Ben's right-hand man like the last handful of years. And I think there's value with that. Like he's got to watch, and Ben and him communicate a ton. He's the passing game coordinator. Jared Goff's playing really, really well. Obviously, something's working. Guys are having career years. I think Tanner's going to be a great, a really, not even just a really great coordinator wherever he goes. And I think his best bet, to Lucas's point, is to stay in Detroit, because there's consistency. He knows this offense. He knows these players. He knows what this team wants to look like offensively. It would be such an easy transition. He's just going to have to wait a year. He's just going to have to wait. Here's this comment. G Granddaddy 4. What coach would be on the hot seat if a team hits a losing skid midseason? I'll tell you one right now. Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
big old Mike McCarthy. See you later.
There's a couple of things, and I did put that in the prep here. Jeff, can I just kind of break that down real quick?
Yeah, you know what? real quick, someone asked Mike a question, then we'll get right to it. Bond, J, BMG, who's your guess that would be next line in line for that?
I mean, obviously, if it's not Tanner, I think it would have to be Scotty, right? But I don't know. Brad maybe has something up his sleeve.
What?
Jeff,
No,
you don't
I-
like that?
I just want Tanner. I don't know.
I know
he's
you want
never-
Tanner,
know.
but if Tanner's gone, I think
Yeah,
Scotty's
that
the
was
next
the
best
question.
that
Yeah,
you
so
have.
I think
No,
that's
no,
Scotty,
but
but I think maybe Dan or Brad has something up his sleeve that maybe he's going to go grab someone from outside and bring him in. Who knows? But
am not saying you're wrong, Gentry, because that is probably what would happen. I just oof.
yeah, I would prefer Tanner if that's what you're at. or
Yeah,
if
no,
that's
we're
what
we're on the same page. All right, Boone. What do you got? You want to introduce it?
Yeah, I
Go
guess
for it.
it's just it kind of breaks off the same segment that we just did here. But again, when I was watching the Pat McAfee show today, they brought up a good point to where, and Shefty brought this up to where the coaching carousel next year is going to be completely different than it is this year because you have guys now out there like Ben Johnson. Obviously, that's going to be an end of year thing, but a guy like Bill Belichick. Here I wrote the names down. Mike Vrabel, Pete Carroll. Like there are big names that are out
Big
there
John.
right now that are free agents. Shout out Big John 77. I don't know about you. No, but like so like the point of this is it's kind of like that question that was asked to where, hey, in November next year, who's going to be the first team that a guy's out? And I think it's going to be, and what Shefty said, it's going to be a lot quicker next year for teams to kind of pull the trigger on firing guys midseason because you have Mike Vrabel, Bill Belichick, Pete Carroll. You have some of the biggest names in football out there just sitting there at home next year to where
Mike Tomlin.
like there's just going to be guys next year to where there's going to be a race to get some of these dudes. So the first team that starts to struggle a little bit, they're going to be like, I need to go get Mike Vrabel right now before someone else does. And you might see coaches getting fired in October, November, like very quick, because there are going to be some guys that like you want to move on. And McAfee said today that he was getting texts from people like Jets fans that were saying like, we should have moved on from Saleh and we should have gone and got Mike Vrabel. Like there are franchise fans right now who are out there that are like, why did we not move on from our current coach and go get a Bill Belichick or Pete Carroll? Like we need to do that. So I think next year there's going to be a quick trigger finger next year when it comes to this head coaching kind of carousel. And you're going to see coaches get fired in November, October, because there's three Hall of Fame, not Hall of Fame with Mike Vrabel, but there's two Hall of Fame coaches in Mike Vrabel that are sitting out there. And teams are going to be chasing, and they want to be the first ones to pick them up.
I'm with you, Boone.
So that's why I just went off on it, but I want, boys, elaborate.
Okay, you got your.
I just
you got
wanted
a Booner ran in.
I wanted
to bring this up. Do you guys see the Robert Saleh thing where he threatened or he did take all the staff members' phone because someone was leaking information to the media, and he's brought everyone in a meeting room and was like, "Give me your phones." Someone's leaking information to the media. It was when Zach Wilson refused to come back in the lineup, and that got leaked, and it's a disaster.
They should have just moved
if that's
on.
happening, it's done.
Like, and then you got Aaron Rodgers, who like it again, great.
Yeah,
there's like things with Nathaniel Hackett coming out that aren't good.
Dude,
like
the Jets are going to hire. They're again like
they should have moved on and got Braves.
Yeah,
they should have got Braves.
They're going to fire Saleh very, very soon. That's just my opinion. Nate Saunders, Jeff, what's good? What's up, Nate? Appreciate you for joining. Big time. But to your point about just kind of bringing up the coaching cycle, like there's guys that like Bill Belichick. That dude, he wasn't. What was he? He was interviewed a couple times, but nothing.
Well, I think he had one interview.
Atlanta, and I think Vegas for a second.
I think it was just Atlanta.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Bold prediction is that he takes over the Eagles when Sirianni gets fired. Bold prediction.
Wow.
Wait,
I don't hate it.
Bill Belichick?
Yep.
Jerry Jones came out as well and said that he thinks that he would work well with Bill Belichick.
Yeah, no.
He said that he was like, we could work together really well.
That would not work well.
Yeah.
Hey,
Bill Belichick
can't have Jerry's world and Bill's world. No, just
Jerry said it, not me.
Yeah, Jerry, like
Jerry's so
Jerry around
delusional,
like a
dude.
rag doll in the owner's office trying to get the draft pick down to the
Jerry is so delusional, dude.
I like Big John's comment. I wish I could pin it, but Jeff hasn't gave me those responsibilities.
Yeah, I don't know how we get those responsibilities.
We'll talk after the show. I got you guys. I got you guys. Don't worry about it. Big John, if when AD leaves, Saleh as the new DC.
I want Kelvin Shepard. I think he's that guy.
I like it. I'm not going to. I think we had this conversation for like a year now. I'm just going to stick with Lukas.
I
Yeah, I
he's
think
ready
Calvin
to-
Shepard. It should be like
He deserves it.
guys. Like
He's got that AG energy too. Like AG,
Oh, yeah.
AG's always on the sideline. Like when dudes, AG holds dudes accountable on the sideline. He does not care if the cameras are on or not. And same thing with Calvin Shepard. Like he's everything I think a defensive coordinator needs to be, and he's got a ton of playing experience. So
I'm in a couple things. Number one, I think if you're a good organization or a great organization, you have to reward guys internally. Like that's how typically you're like even the 49ers, like they had a lot of guys coming from the same organization, but of course they went and got Steve Wilkes, which again, great hire. But typically they do promote from within. I think the Lions are trending that way. So Calvin Shepard, I'm on board. He has a relationship with the players. Now, if there's like an immediate upgrade available, maybe we can talk. But I like Calvin a lot, dude. Like I think he's gonna be a stud. Like the way he communicates, the way he leads, he's a DC. Like he truly is. He's a DC. I mean, yeah, Steve Lehman. Look what Shep has done with our linebackers. Arguably, guys, it's our best position group on defense.
Yeah, at least on a consistency basis. Like even think about the fact that Germ was making plays on the defensive side. How well Malcolm Rodriguez has developed. How far Alex Anzalone has come, and even how far Jack Campbell has come throughout the season. I think Jack's just one of those guys where he's got all the tools. Same thing. Obviously different positions, but like J-Mo, where it's just you have so much talent, just hone it in and get a flow for the game. And once Jack Campbell does that, Calvin Shepard's going to turn that dude into a monster.
Bro, if you brought in Robert Saleh as DC, you have Dan Campbell, Robert Saleh. That's like those are some large humans.
Can we all name like one out of the box hire that you would pick for DC? Kind of like in the likes of Saleh.
I'll be honest.
That's not in Detroit.
Yes, that's not in Detroit.
If you're not promoting from within?
Yep.
I'll be honest.
I have a good one. I have no one's. Well, I don't know if it's good, but I've been thinking of it the last couple weeks because he's a big supporter.
If it's like right now,
yeah.
DC for.
I got one.
Well, like next year, saying as if AG gets a job.
I would go
tomorrow.
Brian Flores for sure.
Oh, that's not bad. I was gonna say Vrabel. I've been on the Vrabel unless he.
I just think him as a head coach though.
Yeah, but if he doesn't want to be a head coach next year again,
you know what? We all have a different answer. You know what I would say? I would say next year, assuming that shit hits the fan in New York, I'll take Saleh.
Someone said it in the chat.
That's
my boy Lloyd. I talked about this with
Rex
Jeff.
Ryan.
I talked about it with Jeff a couple weeks ago when he was at my house. He's been wearing Honolulu blue the last 3 weeks. Actually, bring me Rex Ryan, bro.
I love
Rex
Ryan.
He would be so hyped to be
dude,
honest.
he
loves Dan Campbell. He knows how to get a locker room going. Dude, he would instill a different type of vibes on that defense if that was the route.
His son is on the coaching staff,
and he's been wearing that Honolulu blue. Go PPSPN. Bring Rex.
Yeah, his son is the assistant wide receiver.
Rex Ryan.
That would Gentry. I'm all in on that. Hey, when he was a head coach, his defenses were always
nuts. He knows how to get the boys riled up, man.
Braylon was on that Jets team with him. He had some stories. He had some stories about Rex Ryan, man. That dude, he's a character. I think they did Hard Knocks with him. I think that was the year
that was the one where Rex Ryan has his like throw sleeping on us. That's exactly where we want to be. Like that.
Hey, bring me Rex, bro. I'd be fucking hyped. Guy's the man.
You think he's got that urge to coach again, or you think he's done?
I don't think he really does, but like the right situation might bring him in. And the way I've heard him talk about the Lions within the last month or so, especially in playoffs, him rocking the Honolulu blue every time the Lions are playing, it just gives me a different vibe, man. I'm telling you, if the opportunity presented it to himself, he would take it. I guarantee it.
Did you see him on ESPN, Jeff?
I'll watch him on ESPN. I don't know,
like during like the Lions' little playoff run.
Bro,
no, I didn't.
Dude, he was getting heated. Like he was getting like very passionate and like taking a stand for the Detroit Lions when everybody before the playoffs were like, who do you think the 49ers and Ravens' biggest threat are in each of their conferences? He's like, he was going to war for the Lions.
I did see that clip. I did see that.
It got even more and more heated. And he
was going at it.
Yeah.
What a dog.
Bring him home.
Yeah.
I like Rex Ryan.
Hey, they brought in John Fox. You can even just bring him like as John Fox just kind of oversees stuff. Rex Ryan do that too.
How old is John Fox? Oh, he's only 68. Okay, well he's not. For some reason, I thought he was old as. I thought he was much older.
Hey, Jim Schwartz.
Jim would be like an off the wall, like random.
That's like CJ Gardner-Johnson as your defensive coordinator.
Just a
That's a
dog.
bad
Yeah. That would be a big time one. I mean, how about a Matt Patricia? I mean, just have
Fuck
him
no.
bring
Oh,
it.
dude, I will leave this stream right now. I will leave this stream right
Hey,
now.
L's in the chat for Jeff.
Can we
No,
Jeff,
God, don't do the L's. I was just
Jeff,
saying.
Jeff, real quick,
L's in
can
the
you do me a
chat.
favor? Can you do me a
You
favor?
deserve L's.
Can you just put me, Lucas, and Gentry? Just throw us in a chat. You
Put
take
yourself
yourself
in
off screen.
timeout.
Real quick.
Yeah,
I want to talk
deserve
to the
that,
boys.
Jeff.
Fellas,
All
that
right,
man
anyway.
is stupid for saying that. That was
That
dumb.
was
What
that
else
was
is
bad.
dumbass?
Yeah, no, yeah.
L's.
that's
Alright,
like
he's
how
coming back.
that's like
He's coming
that's
back
when
in.
it turns into like Jeff Iafrate time instead
Loser.
of crunch time, and he just thinks he
Yeah.
can say whatever he wants and can't get held accountable.
Nope.
This is
Nope.
your lesson, Jeff.
Yeah.
You can't just
What a
say whatever you
dumbass.
want.
You
with
should,
no
you should feel bad about
responsibility, bro.
yourself right now.
You should be ashamed.
All right.
All right. Shh.
It's okay.
He's back.
Hey, what's going on,
I like,
everybody?
I
Hey,
like
Jeff.
being in this corner.
What's going on?
are ya?
Yeah, I didn't hear anything. I just went and got a water.
Yeah, no, we just had to have a quick team meeting.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I trust you guys for sure.
We were in
Um,
potential trade talks, but we were like, yeah.
Yeah. We held back.
I get a
He's
call.
good,
From my,
he's good for the
Good.
financial side of it, so we'll keep him around.
I get a call from my agent. I've been moved. I'm like,
Actually,
"Wait,
Jeff, what we want to do, we need to
Nice.
restructure your contract. We need to
No,
restructure
no,
it.
don't
Yeah,
do
no.
that.
No, we have to have a talk.
You've
do that.
lost some Booner path points for sure.
Yeah, that was tough, dude. That was tough.
That was fair. Not
Yeah.
a good look for you, Jeff.
Couple punches.
That's bad PR, right?
wrong
That's
way.
bad PR.
Wrong
still
way
the wrong
again.
way.
You're still-
Oh, there we go.
Dude, this dude Lucas just tried to hit Jeff 4 times. It
Oh,
kept going the wrong
Hey,
way.
yeah,
Oh,
see
thank-
Gentry? Yeah, it got Gentry too.
Yeah.
Trisha
I'm
Miller,
sorry,
what are-
Lucas. I didn't mean to hit you, bro.
You put Trisha's comment up there. I've got a water bottle.
oh, this one. What's up with the
Uh-oh.
hydration issues?
Just everyone has to stay hydrated.
You got to.
Yeah.
Damn right.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks, Boone.
Yeah,
Boone
but
did the best.
Boone with just talking to the kids, man. He's just giving advice out. He's giving it. Stay hydrated.
What is this, Booner, a comedy show?
God damn it, Booner. Stop
Question
laughing.
was asked, and I responded, fellas.
You guys want? You guys want? I know the Pro Bowl's on. I didn't even know the Pro. I'm gonna be honest. Like I see the clips popping around. So I didn't even know. Sam
The
Laporta just
Pro
caught
Bowl's
a
on?
punt.
Yeah, I've been tweeting some stuff from our account while we're on the show.
Yeah, Sam
Hey,
Laporta
shout
just
out
caught
Booner.
a punt.
You're a dog, Booner.
Who caught a
Wait,
punt?
Sam Laporta. He did
Sam
the punt
Laporta.
competition, punt return
I
competition.
don't like that. He's got
Yeah,
a knee
why is he
injury.
doing that?
We should've-
Nah,
yeah,
hey boys, let the man have fun. Come on, it's off season. Let these guys have fun.
lock
a little
in.
bit.
We just lost an NFC Championship game, Booner.
Hey,
Did you
hey.
see Baker? I got to get that Baker clip to be honest.
Baker
with
in
you.
the Pro Bowl.
I think I
What
sent
did
it to
you
you.
even more of a joke?
Okay, let me see this because this is. I don't know if we could play it on air to be honest with you because it is like TV. It is ESPN, but basically Baker. They asked him about just him being here in the playoffs, and he said, "Well, I got to practice because my last pass was a completion of Derek Barnes." So, like that was
What a
essentially,
guy.
and he wasn't wrong.
And he did the Baker did his dance with Amon Ra and then dapped each other up after. So it's cool to see.
Yeah, Baker.
Baker's growing on me, man.
Yeah,
Well,
he's
In the
not.
press conference after the game too.
I didn't
Fair.
see that.
No, I didn't.
He was very. If you guys should watch it, Baker like after the Lions game, like he was like, I can
Gave us a
tell
lot
how
of
much this
credit.
means for the city. It reminds me a lot of how it was when I won in Cleveland, but honestly, it feels like it's a little bit more. And he was like just giving credits. Like he didn't say one bad thing. He just didn't even say anything about himself. He's like, yeah, I should have played better, but he was just giving respect to Detroit.
Shut out.
Yeah, the
What a
Pro
guy.
Bowl sucks, man. Like absolutely sucks. I mean,
I'd watch the East West Shrine game right now. Shout out to
What is-
Lisa for popping up there.
Yeah, that
What was it?
now
I didn't
that's
hear.
that's
the
way
Shrine
way
game?
more entertaining.
I can't wait for the Senior Bowl. Isn't that Saturday morning, right?
Yeah. Senior Bowl's yeah, and
I
that's
was
what we're
watching
gonna
the
have on
practice
what
this
Monday.
morning.
Monday. We'll
And
Nick
Terrell
from
or
Honolulu Blues.
Terrell Williams, he's the head coach of one of the teams down there, isn't he?
Yeah, yes,
Yep, of the
yes, he
American
is.
team.
Yep, head coach of the American team. We'll have Nick Faber from Honolulu Blues. If you guys follow them on Twitter, you have to if you're a Lions fan. If not, go follow those guys. They do great work. And Nick Faber was down there at the Senior Bowl, and he's going to be joining us Monday.
Oh, yes, he will be. And Jeff, how hard is it to get a video to play on there if I send you a video?
It's not hard at all.
All right,
Send me.
I'm gonna send a video in our group chat here. He actually spoke with Kenyon Mitchell.
Oh,
Lucas's
shout out.
boy.
He
That's
did.
Lucas's boy.
He spoke with him today, and I posted on our Twitter, so make sure you guys go follow us. at the official CT pod.
Well,
but
I could play it. I could play it right from our Twitter. It's on there.
Yeah, I just sent it to you too in the group chat. But he spoke with him, and that's a guy that everyone's talked about. And obviously, it's gotten to a point, and Nick will talk about it on Monday too. He's spoken with a lot of these players that we're all looking at and talking about and making plays and all of that. So he's going to come in on Monday. And if you guys have questions in the chat, feel free to drop him on Monday when he comes in. But he spoke with the guy that we've all been talking about. So and I thought it was a very, very good. The answers he gave, he gives up very, very big Dan Campbell vibes. Very big
one
Dan
that
Campbell
Brad would
vibes.
move up for. He ain't gonna be there at 29.
Yes, like no, like if you're talking about a guy who's like all about grit and all about like, hey, I just want to come in here and play football and win. Very, very big vibes on that. So
here's Nick Faber talking to Quinyon. Is it Quinyon, right?
Yep.
Quinyon Mitchell. All right, one of the best corners in the 2024 NFL draft.
With the Honolulu Blues podcast for the Detroit Lions. Okay, I'm here with Quinyon Mitchell. Make sure I got that up. So Detroit Lions, one of their biggest necessities, I would say, this year is the defensive back. Now, I'm not sure if you'd even make it to 29. Hopefully you don't. Hopefully you get drafted way before that. But if you were to, or if the Lions were to trade up and to grab you, I was curious, what do you personally bring to an NFL team like the Detroit Lions, who just made it, in the top 4? What can you bring to help get them to the next level?
You know what I'm saying? Just coming in and doing what they need to do. I feel like, in Detroit, they got a good thing going. They got a good, model, stuff like that, I love the head coach, I love what he brings. So just come in and buy in with the guys.
I love that. So you brought up that coach, Dan Campbell, who his motto has been all grit, right? It's just grit. Come in here, do your job. I don't want to hear anything about anything else. Just come in and do your job. Exactly, no excuses. So is that something that you would fit right into, you think?
Oh, yes, sir. I feel like at Toledo, we had that a lot, especially my head strength coach, Coach B, he always hard on us and stuff like that. So no excuses, no complaining, just get to it.
Awesome, dude. So our defense coordinator, Aaron Glenn, former defensive back, awesome coach, right? What do you think, or how do you feel you would be able to fit in with Aaron Glenn? Like, is that something that you would look forward to, working with a great defensive back in his prime now as a coach?
Yeah, I feel like he'll give me, a lot of advice, teach me a lot of things on and off the football field. So I feel like that'll be great.
Do you find yourself like better at man? You're better at zone? Like, what kind of scheme would you find yourself in a better fit?
Whatever you need me to do.
Awesome. I love to hear that.
I love that.
Right. Zone at Toledo, a lot of off man at Toledo too. So whatever you need me to do.
Awesome. Now, if the Lions were to get you, or any team at that, like I said, I work the line. If any team were to get you, are you able, do you think, in the NFL to step in day one and just get right to work and get on that starting field day one?
It's the expectation.
That's the expectation.
Oh.
Awesome. I love to hear that. That's all I had for you, Quinn. I appreciate it. Keep killing it. You're doing great, man. Yes, sir.
Dude,
Great
what
interview.
are we talking about?
Great interview.
That's why I tweeted it out from our account too. That is a Brad Campbell or Brad Holmes.
Brad
guy.
Campbell.
So
that's a Brad Holmes.
That's fair.
Dude, if I've ever seen one. That was like spot on.
That is Quinyon Mitchell. Quinyon Mitchell, one of the best corners in the draft out of Toledo. He's from.
And I know it's the MAC, but there was like stretches of games, not this season, last season. Because I would say last season was his better season out of the two. He's All-American. But there was games where the other quarterback for the opposing team would literally not throw to his side. You could tell the game plan was to throw away from Quinyon Mitchell because the man had a pick in damn near every game, or had an impact play in every game. His ball skills and able to track the ball in the air to make a play out of it, top in the draft probably.
Yeah, he's going to be gone. He'll be gone, top 15? He's got to be.
Yeah. And he's going to do good in the combine. He's got that South Florida speed where that dude just flies. Telling you. I went to camp in South Florida. The dudes down there are fucking different. They're just
there's some greats.
Thought he was going to do the Gus Johnson bar right there.
Yeah. What? Gus Johnson? Which one? There's a lot of Gus Johnson bars.
We'll leave it alone.
Gus Johnson, what a legend. Yeah. Quinyon Mitchell, man, one of the best corners in the draft. I don't think there's a way the Lions can get him. There's some good corners coming out, like Nate Wiggins out of Clemson. I think Quinyon though is impressive, and he's going to test really well. To Lucas's point, like he's gonna. That's like this is the time, guys, where guys fly up, guys drop, and I think he's a guy he's going to climb.
From what I heard, and from what Nick texted me yesterday, is he's a guy that just keeps moving up. I heard Mike Tomlin, I guess, went up to him and Roman Wilson. after that first day where they both were going viral. And he said every single rep today, it's you two are going at it. So like he's a guy that's on guys' radars now. Coaches want him, and that interview right there, that's like an interview like that pushes you up a draft board. And then you still have to play in the game, and he's probably going to go off on Saturday. And on top of that, he's going to probably be at the combine, I'm sure now. And it's going to be, there's going to be more. But again, I'm gonna say this until the draft comes. Brad Holmes has traded up every single draft. He has made a move because all he wants to do, he doesn't care. And Lucas, I know you said this earlier today or on Twitter or something. I don't even think he cares about best player available. He doesn't care about any of that. He doesn't care about what position he just wants his own guy. If he likes a dude, he like him and Dan say, their draft board's a lot different from other people, from other teams. They just want their guy, and they don't care about best player available. None of that. They have proven that at this point.
Well, I'm saying like their best player.
Yes.
Like their best player available in the draft was Gibbs. That's why they took him where
yes.
Like,
and a lot of that has to do with is that their guy, and I think that's like how they rank it. And I think this guy right here, if you're looking at corner, which is a position of need, he's going to be probably top 5 on their list. For dudes
I think the fact, and it's a perfect fit. And now that I think it's destined that he's a Steeler. Now that you just brought that up with Mike Tomlin, because Deontay Johnson, the last like great Toledo player, where'd he go? South Florida guy, Toledo, Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin, they needed DB really bad. He used to be the defensive back coach in Tampa before he went to Pittsburgh, so he knows they need a corner more than anybody. So I think that's where he goes.
I'm excited for the draft. And I was kind of
I
mad
love
today.
the draft. I love the offseason.
I wasn't mad. I'm not going to lie. I was just more like driving in my car, and I'm just thinking, I'm like, I can't believe the Lions should be in the Super Bowl. I cannot believe we're talking about draft picks and free agents right now. Like it's all over Twitter, and it's like kind of depressing. Like I'm just like, I don't really want to do this, but
it feels weird.
It's so weird. I hate it, dude. I thought about that today. Like I keep seeing all these graphics on Twitter and stuff. And I'm like, dude, I don't know if I could take another one until the Super Bowl's over.
Spenmo. Lucas, how do you feel about Nate Wiggins?
I think Nate Wiggins is like the Gonzo, so it makes sense that Spenny loves him. I think he's a good player, but again, I don't think he's going to be anywhere near the Lions draft selection at all. He'll probably be another top 15 pick. But if the Lions trade up for him, he's like I believe he's 6'2", 6'3". I mean, we talk about Stephon Gilmore. He's built a lot like Stephon Gilmore, and he's a physical corner. I'm a little bit worried with like his frame because, I mean, you saw Gonzo. I know it didn't have to do much with his frame, but he was getting dinged up. And I think when you're a corner that is that small, injury risk is higher. But, I mean, he's a good player for sure.
To start us off, we're gonna get to mailbag now. We got about 7 minutes left, so get your questions ready,
baby.
Yeah, drop those questions. We'll get to as many as we can. The first question we got here, Callie Max mailbag: what is the biggest need at 29? Edge, cornerback, or interior D line? I think we all agree it would be on the defensive line.
Yep.
At 29, defensive line for sure.
Yes, at 29, biggest need corner, but in the draft, based on what I believe positional value, you take an edge in the first round.
Yeah, I would say
that should be our slogan for the offseason on this show. Positional value.
Yes, I'm with you. That's just what I go, at least what I believe in.
We should get that on a t-shirt.
We got to get a motto for like something, something about drafting an edge in the first round. We do, because they need an edge.
The Booner path. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Booner path, but edge version. Let's see. ETN mailbag. Who's your least favorite player of all time?
Tony Romo's up there. I'm just thinking of players off the top of my mind. Tony Romo's up there.
Yeah, any sport. Lucas,
Joel Embiid.
Ooh,
Joel Embiid.
LeBron James.
Sport kind of changes it up. I really, really did not like Joakim Noah. I couldn't stand Joakim Noah growing up.
I thought he was
Joakim Noah.
Or Pau Gasol. Looking at Pau Gasol made me feel gross. I couldn't stand looking at Pau Gasol. But NFL player Tony Romo's up there for sure.
Well, okay. Well, before we
I just hate Joel Embiid.
So you hate Joel Embiid. That's
I hate that man.
I hate LeBron. It's just got to be LeBron. It's just got to be LeBron.
You know what?
I hate him.
Okay, I know you.
We'll move on. Someone else can go, but it's LeBron. I hate him.
Okay. All right. For me,
Aaron Rodgers is definitely up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. There's a lot.
I'm trying to think.
Jay Cutler. Oh, Jay Cutler's my one. Jay Cutler, take the crown. That's my number one least favorite player of all time watching. He sucked. He was a douchebag. He was fat. He was lazy. Jay Cutler's my
LeBron.
number one.
Love all the LeBron hate.
Some good ones in
Man,
here.
there's a lot.
Jeff, are you gonna give yours? Or are you just gonna think all night?
No, like you know what's funny? Like when you like have an answer, but when someone asks you the question, you like can't think of it. Like
Yeah.
there's players
Yeah.
I
Like while you're watching games and stuff, you're like, I hate that.
honestly,
guy so
Booner,
much.
Joel Embiid is a guy that I consistently hate. So like,
I hate him.
That's a good one. That's
I
that's
cannot
definitely
stand
one.
him.
I'm trying to think of something different.
Phillip Rivers?
Phillip Rivers is good. I really
Ooh.
hated Johnny Manziel when he came out. But it didn't work out anyway, so I can't. That's kind of a low ball there.
Can I do a
I like him
coach?
now. I like him now. Johnny
Can I do
Manziel now.
Can I do a coach?
Sid
Yeah.
Crosby.
Matt
Ryan
Patricia
Day.
easily Matt Patricia. I hate his guts.
I'm with you,
Hate
Ryan Day.
Spenmo.
Ryan Day.
Also, how do you guys feel about Cooper DeJean changing his name to DeJean Cooper so it sounds more black when he's filling out jobs for a DB?
I thought he was
That's
serious.
What gets them,
Is he serious?
Anything that
Sure.
works. I
Did
mean,
he actually do
anything
that?
that works.
look,
He changed his
look,
name?
Cooper DeJean.
Are we about to see?
cute
Are we about to
story-
see a white corner? Is that about to happen? Or is he going to
cute
be moved
story,
to
but no.
Coach Walk 37 mailbag? Lucas, do you have Mint Mobile or Boost Mobile? That's a good
Oh,
question.
man.
Boost Mobile, where you at?
T-Mobile. We'll go T-Mobile.
The fourth largest provider. I saw a
Yeah,
joke on
Boone?
that today. I just saw a joke on that today. What's his name from Superbad? Did a joke on T-Mobile. It's funny.
Adam, this is a good one, by the way. David Ortiz for most
Yeah,
hated
that's a good
player.
one.
Just
Solid.
because that man left. Yeah, some things he did to our city, specifically the Tigers, that left just some.
Brett Favre, I've always hated
Brett
him.
Favre.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's another good one. All right,
Aaron Rodgers, when he was in Green Bay at the time, I did not like him.
Ryan Lentz. Hate
All
that
right.
guy.
Let's see. Tyler Holmes, mailbag. Should Lions, no relation to Brad Holmes, by the way. I think so. Mailbag. Should Lions target Jackson Powers Johnson, the center / guard out of Oregon? I mean, yeah, I think drafting a center this year. I don't know. Is he projected to go decent? Like,
I
he's
don't
one of
know
the
too
best
much
centers,
about
dude.
him. Like, I don't want to say too much. I would
I
have to
don't-
look
I don't-
more, but
I don't know how high the Lions will take a center, but I do think a center should be considered. They should take
Yeah.
a center.
And if
Maybe
he's
that is-
versatile where he can play center and guard, kind of like a Glasgow type of thing, then yeah, I definitely
Yes.
like in the second
I love
round, give me
that.
that all day.
I love that. I love it. Maybe that is Brad Holmes' like son, and he's just like, I'll relay this to Brad.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Tyler Holmes. He's like, hey man, go tell the boys what we're cooking up.
Yeah.
Go let them know.
Go make sure Crunch Time approves of this. All right.
King Horse with that question. Yeah, there's
I didn't see it.
King Horse. We can't even get into it. I'm sorry. We just gonna avoid that one. But it is a good question.
I can't even see it.
I don't even know what it is.
Oh my God.
Reju, I think it's Reju. I want to say, man, I might have just butchered that. Mailbag. Should the Lions go after Bryce Huff? I mean,
Yeah, he's a very underrated defensive end. He kind of
Yeah.
reminds me of Leonard Floyd, just get a little bit younger. I wouldn't hate that at all, and he'd be cheap.
Yeah, I'm curious what the price tag is a player for like him, and I wouldn't hate it at all, depending on it. But
I like that.
Jesse Adams.
I like it.
Mailbag on a scale from 1 to 10. How would you like this, boys? What if Brad Holmes moved up from 21 to get Verse from FSU or CB1 and trade a third this year plus a second next year to the Titans for Simmons?
Oh my goodness! So they got Jeffrey Simmons to come over with Terrell Williams.
Oh my gosh. And the train
That
up
would-
for Verse too.
That's
I'm
a lot
in
of
for
money,
that.
but I would not care, especially if you get Verse. So imagine having Simmons, Verse, and Hutch with the Lee McNeil.
Give up what you need to do that.
You're
Give
not
up what
running
you
the
need.
ball. You are not running
Oh.
the ball in the Detroit Lions.
Spencer,
That-
chill.
It helps your secondary out too, getting to the quarterback too.
Lisa asked, Mailbag, what do you guys think about D tackle? I think his name's Jerzan Newton. Out of I think at Illinois. I think he plays. Yeah, he had a pretty good year this year too. Had like 7.5 sacks. So
I'd have to look more again.
yeah, he's a big man. He's like 300 pounds, I think he is. So I don't know. Again, I don't know his projection either. I don't know where he's going, but hey, I'm open to any defensive lineman, to be honest with you. So just depending on where he goes. Callie Mex says, how many players on top 100 are we going to have?
How many did we have last year? Do you guys remember the exact amount?
Wasn't it 3?
Did Jamal get
Panay?
in? Am I thinking? Am I
Jamal
crazy?
did get in last year. No, he did.
Jamal, Frank, Panay. Panay
look
didn't
it
get
up.
in last year, but he will this year. Panay.
Yes, he will.
Frank will. I'd imagine Goff will this year probably.
Hutch did last year.
Hutch will again.
Was it? Damn.
They'll have probably 6. I'd imagine.
Number.
Goff,
great number.
Amon-Ra, Panay, Laporta,
Porter will be in it.
Ragnow, and then
Spencer
Hutch.
said 3. I thought it was only 3, but
So that for sure was Hutch. Jared Goff was at 66, and who else do we have? I know Jamal Saint was at 67. I don't know if Panay did. I don't think Panay.
Panay
I
did
remember
not.
one of
No,
them.
He did not.
I
Two
think
of
it was
them were
3. I
only
think
like
it was
2 ranks apart. I remember that.
I
They
think it
were
was
really
Goff
close.
and St. Brown were 66 and 67 or something. I'm looking at it. It looks like here, and then Hutch was 88, and Goff was 66. Saint was 67. So we
We'll
had
ask
3.
See, I did. Thought I remember that.
We'll answer this one to close this out. I kind of like this question too. ETN mailbag. If you could get rid of any sport, which one would you get rid of?
Any
Any
sport?
sport?
Yeah, any sport. Like you could think of like
Baseball.
random like baseball.
Oh. Well, I didn't know if we were going out of like the major 4.
I mean, I might honestly just mess around and say cricket. To be honest with you, I
Water
mean,
polo.
Nah, it doesn't count.
Water polo.
Are you okay? We're talking about we'll do.
I mean, it's an Olympic sport.
Hey, we'll do.
No, yeah.
Are we counting golf too? I'll piss Gentry off real quick.
Any
Well,
sport.
I wasn't including that in the major 4.
It's any
Okay,
sport.
so we won't.
So we'll
we're
go-
not.
NBA, NFL, NHL, and MLB. Even maybe we can throw in maybe golf, but
Yeah, we'll keep
that's
golf
too
out.
easy. That's a cop out, Klotz. That's a cop out.
I think it's
All
pretty
right.
easy for me.
So 4, you're gonna have to make a tough decision.
Who are you guys going?
Baseball.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
would
would go
probably lean
baseball,
baseball
Me
too,
too.
man. It's
I'll go
just the
baseball. That was gonna
game
be
is
mine.
just it's. I have to watch. I watch. I can't sit there and watch an entire MLB game. Like I watch the Tigers, but it's rough. Like I can watch hockey, I can watch football, I can watch.
The only good thing
basketball.
about baseball is you
I
can go
love a
to the
ton of
game.
different.
I was
sports.
literally watching golf this morning.
Now, if you're at the game, Booner,
Yeah.
it's great.
Oh, dude, I'm
Great.
buying a couple hot dogs. I'm getting some beers. Give me those roasted almonds. I mean, that's one of the best. I forgot Lance is a baseball guy.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Yeah, he
No
big
more
baseball
Austin
guy.
Meadows.
I don't. I just yeah. That like
Yeah,
Sue
still fishing.
you. Cricket is for street shitters.
Oh, don't let fish see that.
That's such a like a specific insult too. Like street shitters. Like who's shitting in the
Homeless as
street?
fuck.
Yeah, like who the
You're not
fuck is
just-
doing that?
You're not
Who
just
is doing
homeless.
that?
You shit in the street.
Oh, God.
You don't even try
alright.
to find a bathroom.
Hey, well, I'll tell you who's not street shitters. Everyone who turned into this program. And the
Shout
people
out,
that are
man.
on the
Sir,
show.
shout
What a
out.
show.
We appreciate you guys, man, for another great show. We had a blast. It's Thursday. Tomorrow is a Good Friday show. It's going to be a great one. I can't
Oh.
wait for it. And then we'll be back on Monday. Of course, we'll have content throughout the weekend. If you're not subscribed and you enjoyed it, subscribe. Like the stream if you haven't already as well. And if you're listening, leave a 5-star review. Support the boys. Until tomorrow, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. We'll catch you guys. Stay tuned for some content tomorrow throughout the day as well. And of course, follow us on socials. We got look at this. Look what we got
Look
cooked
at-
up.
look
for
at-
you.
Everyone
look
go
at-
follow us. Subscribe. Do everything. The
Yeah.
best 4 in the city, man.
Yeah, official Crunch Time on TikTok, official CT Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. Have a blessed
Whoa,
night.
wait.
Wait. Booner has his hand up.
Question. I want to look into the future real quick.
Yep.
Don't forget, the NFL draft is coming up in Detroit and opening day. I was thinking we might have some things planned downtown for the boys. Maybe I don't know if we could do like a show or something. I think we start having some conversations, fellas, or like a little live show or something.
Hey,
We'll see.
Booner,
I'm just thinking.
Booner, we're
I
cooking.
like it. I
We're
like
cooking.
it.
Put it
We
down
got-
in the notes, Booner. Put it down in the notes.
Marking
Put
it
it-
down right now.
Mark it down in the notes. All
That's it
right.
from the page.
We'll see you guys. Appreciate you. We'll catch you tomorrow. Deuces.